Daredevil Born Again killed my grandma, set my house on fire, and forced me to eat a sock. I didn't expect myself to ever talk about an MCU show because, like, let's be real here. Trashing on the MCU nowadays is like the easiest thing you can do. And I haven't really been up to date on any MCU project really. But I was recommended to watch the original Daredevil show that was made by Netflix, and I watched it like a few months ago, and holy moly, this ended up being one of my favorite shows of all time. Seasons 1, 2 and 3 of Daredevil have to be some of the best things to have been ever put on television. And I loved every second of it. Especially season 3, which is just the peakest of peak. Sadly though, despite having a cliffhanger at the end, the show ended up being cancelled. Apparently the show got cancelled by Netflix in 2018 due to a feud between Netflix and Disney or something, I don't know. But damn, people wanted a continuation. It would be a waste to not continue the show, especially with how good season 3 was. And Daredevil Born Again was supposed to be a comeback for our beloved characters, but surprise surprise, this show ended up being one of the worst things to have ever been put on Disney+. This is the most Ruby tier writing I have ever seen, and you all know how much I hate that show, and I seriously question how it ended up this way.
I can't.
Why does this show exist? So back in 2021, Marvel released a Hawkeye show, which is also the show that reintroduced Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. I haven't watched the show, and frankly I don't really care enough to watch it, but basically despite Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role as Kingpin and having some similarities to his backstory in the Netflix show, he was supposed to be a completely different version of Kingpin, who not only is way stronger than he was in the Netflix show, but also has super durability, and also he has like an adopted daughter named Maya or something. So these things already make him way different to how he was in the Netflix show. So it's clear that they were trying to reboot the show to have no relation to the Netflix show. And he also appeared in Echo, where like some magic stuff happens or something. Next up was Spider-Man No Way Home, where Charlie Cox reprised his role as Matt Murdock. He also appeared in She-Hulk and Echo. I don't know why you would bring Daredevil back in this ugly suit, but okay. Echo fixed it. So after those shows, it was announced that there was going to be a new Daredevil show. Oh my god! But here is the kicker. Originally this show was supposed to be part of this soft reboot that was set up in the previous Marvel shows. Filming was suspended in June 2023 due to the writer's strike that was happening, and apparently it also didn't go well with test audiences from what I heard. So Marvel decided to overhaul the series and connect it to the Netflix series. But uh-oh, we already spent so much time filming 6 episodes. Scrapping them now would be a waste. You know, it's not like we spent 200 million on this show or anything. So Marvel wasn't just gonna scrap everything and redo the whole thing from scratch. So now we ended up with this weird mishmash of both the original version and the overhaul. Originally the show was supposed to have 18 episodes, but it ended up with only 9. They added a new pilot and 2 additional episodes and serialized elements. Yay? From my understanding, the Netflix shows were originally supposed to be part of the MCU, with even making small references to it.
This office was barely touched by the incident.
The incident, is that what we're calling it now?
Well, it sounds so much better than death and destruction raining from the sky, nearly wiping Hell's Kitchen off the map.
But then it slowly became its own thing unrelated to the MCU, which created the Defenders saga. But okay, I guess now it's officially canon to the MCU. But here is something I don't understand. If they had the power to continue the Netflix show this whole time, why did they not think to continue the show from the beginning? Especially since all of these characters mean so much to everyone? Well, here is what I think. My only theory is that they wanted to have Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin, so they decided to reboot everything instead, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense with what happened at the end of season 3. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I think. And there's a very good reason as to why continuing the Netflix continuity with this Kingpin wasn't a good idea, which is something I will discuss in more detail later on. So anyways, grab a bag of caramel corn and let's begin. And once again, I want to give a huge thanks to this devil right here for keep showing up at the beginning of every video I make, because she keeps haunting me everywhere I go. We start off with Matt, Karen and Foggy going to Josie's bar, where we see a few setups for things to come later on in the show. Gee, I sure hope these things are gonna be super relevant throughout the rest of the show. Karen talks about something with them getting out of there, just the two of them, and Matt says it violates the Friends code.
Well, we could just get out of here.
You and me? Yeah. Sounds nice. Although, I think that's a distinct violation of the Friends Code.
The Friends Code. I keep forgetting the Friends Code.
I'm assuming Karen is like flirting with Matt, and I assume she wants to get back together with him. But here is the thing. This scene takes place like 7 or 8 years after season 3, according to what I've seen online. So that Matt and Karen never attempt to get back together again? I guess not, considering Matt hooked up with She-Hulk of all people, and now we have to make room for someone else entirely. After that we cut to these new characters who are also gonna be part of the show. This is Cherry. He's a police/detective who decides to quit due to vigilantes becoming more popular. And according to the show, he's not the only cop who's doing that. After this we cut to Foggy flirting with this new character called Kirsten. Even Karen and Matt comment on that.
Oh my god, he did it.
Foggy?
Yes.
No.
He does not have the game for Kirsten Duffy.
How dare you? Don't underestimate our Foggy.
I'm not underestimating her.
I think the biggest insult in the show is implying that Foggy can't flirt, because he has way more riz in the original. But like, hold on, what happened to Marcy? She was Foggy's girlfriend in the original show. Season 3 even implied that they were gonna get married.
I was starting to like the idea of being married to the DA.
Pretty sure Blake Tower's not married.
Well, he'll have to get by without me. You, on the other hand, are in luck.
Not only does Marcy not appear in this show, but also she's just never mentioned at all. She's just a forgotten character, and there's not a single explanation as to what happened between her and Foggy.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
Like, this is the issue with the opening of the show. This is the first scene we see of our favorite characters being back again after all those years, and we don't get to see how things have been ever since season 3, what changed, and how the characters are doing. What is going on between them? It's like they just decided to skip all of that because apparently it's not important. This show is supposed to be a continuation of the original, yet we don't get the continuation part of the new show. We get a time skip with no explanation of what has been happening since the last time we saw them. Heck, I mean, even if the actors couldn't show up, why not have Foggy on the phone talking to her at least? They could have been talking about how they're doing and whatever. This is already a much better thing than just ignore Marcy entirely and have Foggy flirt with Kirsten. Like, sure, this doesn't automatically ruin the rest of the season, but it already gives off a weak first impression. Anyways, Foggy gets a phone call from his client named Benny. Foggy and Kirsten were talking about him during that scene. From what we know is that Benny is a criminal who is being targeted by someone because he has valuable information that he's gonna give to the authorities. Matt overhears Foggy's phone call and notices that something is wrong. He heads out to ask Foggy what is going on, and he explains that Benny has been getting threats due to the thing in Red Hook.
After that thing in Red Hook, he said he was getting threats, so I stashed him.
Foggy says he stashed Benny in his apartment of all places, and he's not even taking Benny serious during the phone call when he says that someone is downstairs trying to get to him.
You're not listening, man. There's someone downstairs.
Benny.
Coming for me.
Calm down. Just calm down.
Fuck, come on, man. Seriously, Foggy. I hear them.
It's a secure building, Benny. You're safe. Guy's paranoid. He's probably high.
Why didn't you tell me about the threats?
I just thought it was Benny being Benny.
I don't understand. You took the threat serious enough that you decided to stash him in your apartment, but now you're just disregarding everything he says? Why would you even stash Benny in your apartment of all places? Why did he talk to Mahoney or Cherry to put Benny under witness protection? And by the way, Mahoney also just doesn't appear in the show at all. But then Foggy gives his actual reasoning as to why he didn't tell Matt and Karen about the threats.
Look, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't want to give you an excuse.
Are you kidding me, Foggy? You didn't want to give him an excuse being Daredevil? I'm sorry, but is this show forgetting that Foggy's arc in the original show was learning to accept Matt being Daredevil? This is something that Foggy has learned to accept over the course of 3 seasons. He felt betrayed when he learned that his best friend is a vigilante going around fighting crime and was lying to him for years. It even started affecting his and Karen's lives and their current case, and he had to continuously cover for Matt by lying to Karen. But he came to understand the necessity of Matt being Daredevil and repaired his friendship with him. Heck, he even gave Matt the suit in Defenders. This already doesn't make any sense for Foggy's character to do in the first place. But okay, even if we're supposed to accept this for some reason, he says that someone is about to come to his apartment and threaten his life. And Foggy is like, don't worry Benny, I'm a few blocks away.
Just stay there. I'm literally around the corner. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Like, what the heck does Foggy expect to do against the bad guy all by himself? Stop him? What if he pulls a gun and shoots both you and Benny right there? You'd rather deal with this alone instead of asking the one guy who has superpowers who can stop this guy immediately? You cannot be serious. So we see Matt suit up, and then we get this horrible shot of him falling down from a wall, and he hits the ground like super fast. I'm sorry, that's not how physics work, first of all. And second of all, this is the first time we see Daredevil after all those years, and he's a bad CGI puppet. And everything is really dark. This is probably something you have noticed already, but this show is really dark in a lot of places, especially at night. They love the overusage of fog everywhere, and you can barely tell what is going on half the time. Like, I even managed to lose track of Daredevil the first time I saw this show due to how dark it is. This is a trend with a lot of Disney stuff lately, but we all know why this is here. If you make the scene all dark, then people won't notice the imperfections in the CGI. This show costs $200 million. It's also pretty bad for Matt to take the time to dress himself up when he should be in a hurry to go save Benny. They should have had a scene that shows Matt quickly grabbing something that would cover his face, similar to how he did with Jessica Jones' scarf in Defenders, or in season 3 where he quickly found clothes at the bulletin to conceal his identity. But okay, he's in the suit now. So on his way to Foggy's apartment, Matt overhears this phone call with Benny again.
Foggy, he wanted to know where you were. I'm sorry.
Which implies that Benny is still alive and he had to give up Foggy's location in order to protect himself. So then we cut to Bullseye of all people, and it also turns out that he is the assassin that was sent to kill Foggy. What? Huh? Okay, I have so many questions. First of all, why is he out of prison? Are we forgetting that he was a corrupt FBI agent who dressed himself up as Daredevil and killed a lot of people at the Bulletin and the church, but also was the one who killed Agent Ray Nadeem? There is just no explanation as to how he got out of prison in this episode. But it is explained in the last episode, so don't worry about that. He also had his spine broken by Fisk in the last episode of season 3. But okay, fine, the cliffhanger ending had him getting his spine fixed, so I guess that explains his back being fixed. They introduce him early on by him killing a fly with a paper clip and fixing a light, which is a bit of a weird thing for him to do, because remember, the whole reason Dex kept everything perfect in his apartment was because he was trying to copy someone's lifestyle to keep a healthy life, right? It's a facade, because Dex is a psycho who didn't know empathy. It's also amazing how Bullseye and Daredevil never crossed paths during this. When Bullseye was at Foggy's apartment and Matt was on his way there. So what exactly happened? Did Bullseye just teleport from his apartment all the way to the rooftop near Josie's bar? So after Benny tells Foggy that the guy out for him wanted to know Foggy's location, Foggy and Karen for some reason decide to just stay in place and try to call Benny again instead of trying to get the heck out of there. He's even like, oh, I don't know what he's talking about. That's pretty weird, Karen.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Like, what part of he wanted to know your location do you not understand? Heck, even if you decided to stay here, Cherry is in the bar right now. He could have gone inside and tell him the situation. You cannot be serious. So Foggy gets shot in the chest and gets killed. Yes, you heard that right. They killed Foggy Nelson in the first 8 minutes of the show. Are you kidding me? Foggy Nelson is like one of the most important characters in the original show, and you kill him off in such a stupid way? You cannot be serious. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that killing Foggy isn't a bad idea, but the way he's killed off is, like I said, not only stupid, but also it's the first 8 minutes of the show, where we get no confirmation on how his life has been during those 8 years or anything. I get it, he has 3 seasons of development and fans of the show know who he is by now. But not only has he been acting completely out of character, but also imagine you're a newcomer to the show and you don't know anything about this character. What reason do you then have to care about his death? Character deaths shouldn't be just handed out like candy, especially when they're important characters. Ben Urich's death wasn't just a thing that happened for shock value. Not only did we get to learn much about him in season 1, but also his death served to protect Karen because Fisk found out that Ben Urich went to visit his mother, and he told Fisk that he was the only one who visited her. It was to show how dangerous Fisk is. Foggy Bear was one of my favorite characters in the original show. He's such a sweet guy and a huge supportive friend. He understood that he shouldn't leave Matt even when he has been a bad friend, because so many people in his life have bailed on him.
Has Matt been a shitty friend lately? Without a doubt. But deep down, I think it's hurting him as much as it's hurting us. The way he's been treating us lately is on him. Us turning our backs would be on us. People have bailed on Matt his whole life. and I'm not gonna be one of them.
This guy right here is not Foggy Nelson. He's freaking Fraudy Nelson. So anyways, Fraudy gets shot and 2 people walk out of the bar and get shot as well. So then Dex decided to slowly walk towards Karen and even say hello to her, which is a callback to what he did in season 3. If he intended to kill Karen as well, then why didn't he just snipe her as well from the rooftops? Like, sure, sometimes Dex likes to take his time with his targets, so it's not necessarily an out of character thing for him to do, but the question I would raise is, why is he even going after Karen and Foggy if you don't have the last episode in mind? Dex never had any personal beef with them. Like, sure, he attempted to kill both of them in season 3, but that was because it was under Fisk's orders. Like, okay, I have to say this now. He was ordered to kill both Foggy and Benny. That's it. Why does he go on this freaking killing spree at Josie's bar and starts killing everyone in his way? Like, sure, maybe this was done so no one suspects that he was solely doing it to just kill Foggy and Benny, but there are better ways to go about it. Kill Foggy in his sleep or something. The reason Foggy dies is because Matt leaves and goes to save Benny. If Matt was there, he would have heard Bullseye and saved Foggy from him. He shouldn't have been able to reach Foggy in the first place, considering Matt was on his way to Foggy's apartment. It's not like he knows that Matt is Daredevil. Karen, like, he has no reason to go and kill her at all, which is also not his goal. So he's just wasting his time basically. So he throws in a CGI smoke grenade with the CGI smoke everywhere, where we get this terrible fight between Daredevil and Bullseye. It's so freaking dark that I can barely even tell who is who half the time and don't even know what is going on. Like, sure, okay, the original show had dark scenes as well, but I could tell what was going on because it was well lit and I could tell what was going on in the fights. You could tell a lot of effort was put into them. Sure, they weren't perfect. Sometimes we see fake looking punches, but they are way better choreographed than what the show is doing here. They're clearly trying to replicate the long one-take fights in the earlier seasons, but it just looks really bad. Matt even throws Bullseye at this door with a guy behind it. Matt should have been able to sense that there's a guy right there, so he wouldn't just throw Bullseye at this door. So like, Bullseye walks to the stairs and Matt is just taking his sweet time and lets Bullseye catch his breath when he should be hurrying towards him and knock him out. So Dex attempts to escape Daredevil by going to the rooftop, and Daredevil made it up there somehow and he beats the crap out of him with extremely fake looking punches. He keeps hearing Foggy's heartbeat slowly fading until he dies. Matt is like, why? And all Dex does is like give him a smirk and then bump him on the shoulder. And then he throws Bullseye off the roof attempting to kill him? Are you serious? Him throwing Dex off the roof is a complete character assassination and betrayal of everything Matt went to in the previous 3 seasons. Matt is a Catholic who values human lives. A big theme surrounding the show was redemption. Matt believed that anyone can be redeemed no matter how bad they are, which is the whole conversation he had with the Punisher on the rooftop. Now yes, he had tendencies where he wanted to kill someone and he's a man with a lot of pent up rage, but he overcame them in the show. The closest he came was having the thought of killing Fisk, because he kept hurting people and he was able to bend the law in his favor. He was put in a position where he was almost about to kill him, but he still stopped himself from doing it. Heck, he even stopped Bullseye from ending Fisk during the final battle in the moment because of his instincts. He didn't even attempt to kill Bullseye after he killed Father Lantham, who was Matt's father figure. Yes, he continued beating on him, but he stopped doing it when he thought he was down. Yes, I know he threw Nobu off a roof in season 2, but he knew Nobu was immortal, especially after he thought that he accidentally killed him when he smacked his weapon to that lamp and set him on fire. But not just that, remember when in season 2 in the flashback, Elektra had his father's killer tied up to a chair, and while Matt beat him up, he still didn't decide to kill him, and this was before he was Daredevil. And this breaks Matt so hard that he drops his mask off the roof, exposing his identity. Cherry even walks in and sees him, and this whole entire thing is why Matt decides to quit being Daredevil, because his best friend died. Yeah, okay, no. Matt wouldn't quit being Daredevil after someone close to him dies. His thing in the original show was him embracing his Daredevil life because he believes it's not only his God-given purpose, but also he understands the necessity of why he's Daredevil.
I realize I've made some bad choices and hurt people that I love without meaning to. I realize that if my life had turned out any differently, that I would never have become Daredevil. And although people have died on my watch, people who shouldn't have, there are countless others that have lived.
Need I remind you that Father Lantham died in season 3 and he still continued being Daredevil? Need I remind you that even after he believed that he accidentally killed Nobu, he still continued being Daredevil? And this was when he was a lot younger and even more inexperienced in how he should be here. This is 10 years into his career. He should understand what's at stake and why he does what he does at that point. Another thing I see people say is, you don't get it, this is the payoff to the thing that the Punisher said in season 2.
I think you're a man who can't finish the job. I think that you're a coward. You know, you're one bad day away from being me.
As if you guys completely forget that the whole point of season 3 is to prove Frank wrong.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
And then we cut to the opening of the show. Those were the first 16 minutes of the show. All of this. This has to be like world record for the fastest character assassinations in the first few minutes of a show. This is how you start off this show, which is supposed to be a continuation of a beloved show? You cannot be serious.
Snake. Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
This being the first 16 minutes clearly shows that this entire opening is rushed, so that they can move on as quickly as possible. But why is it that way? Well, here is the thing. Apparently the original version of the show, there wouldn't have been a Foggy Nelson and Karen Page from what I know. There was a version of Foggy in the original version of the show, but he was supposed to have died off screen by a corrupt cop and not Dex. We wouldn't have really known anything about this version of Foggy, but there was a Foggy. A theory that people came up with is the fact that maybe Foggy isn't actually dead and in reality he faked his own death for some reason. And the reason people think this was because it was like a story in the comics where Foggy faked his own death for some reason. And also it was like announced that Eldon Henson is returning in season 2. And what do I think? Well, here is the thing. I don't think Foggy would actually do that to his own friends, like at all. You have to remember that throughout the show he felt really crappy for lying to his own friends, which is why he promised to no longer lie for Matt. And also because of the fact that he had to deal with believing that his best friend was dead for 3 months. So I don't believe that he would ever do such a thing to Matt and Karen. I'm assuming if he's actually returning in season 2, it's just gonna be flashbacks, but if he does come back, that would just be as equally stupid as the way he died in the show. Cutting to the opening, I think it's fine. I prefer the original show's intro way more, but this one isn't really that bad. The only thing I hate is having to constantly see that broken Nelson, Murdoch and Page sign, which just makes me sad. So now we cut to Matt's new apartment and we skip to 1 year later. And after that we cut to Wilson Fisk. Yep, he's back, boys and girls. How is he out of prison? Who knows? And how did he get that much power again? Who cares? No, actually I do care. Because how in the heck is he out of prison? Like, okay, I get it. This was supposed to be a reboot, where Fisk was walking around and doing things in the other shows with barely any relation to the Netflix show. But now since you made the original Netflix show canon to the MCU, this just completely breaks everything that the characters worked so hard on doing for 3 seasons. Put Fisk behind bar. The fact alone that he's out of prison should already be a big issue for not only Matt and Karen, but the NYPD and the public of New York, who hated Wilson Fisk in the original show. Fisk got 5 RICO counts, so he should be in prison for the rest of his life. Now, okay, sure, it's not entirely impossible for him to be able to get out of prison, but the entire reason he was sent back to prison at the end of season 3 was because of the deal he made with Matt. If Fisk didn't agree to go back in prison for the rest of his life, then Matt would have gone after Vanessa and put her in prison. And due to his love for Vanessa, he agrees to the deal. His love for Vanessa is what ultimately took him down at the end of season 3. But sure, whatever, somehow Fisk returned. It's been 8 years and Matt, Karen and Foggy have apparently done jack to put Fisk back in prison. I guess everything they went through in the previous 3 seasons is all for nothing now. And the show does such a poor job explaining how he got out and what changed. But don't worry, we'll get to that. But even so, like, really? Fisk? Again? Are there no other main villains that Daredevil could be facing up against? We had 3 seasons of Fisk in the original show. I mean, sure, the main villains in season 2 were the Hand, but Fisk will still build up to return. But now, once again, we're getting another Matt versus Fisk storyline. I find this to be kinda lame, especially for a continuation of the original. It's just more of the same thing again. We cut to Vanessa doing some business with those guys. I don't really have anything to say here. I think it's cool to have Vanessa be part part of Fisk's crime business? I mean, if we take this continuity as is, then sure, I can believe that Vanessa has learned all this stuff from Fisk, I guess. But with the Netflix continuity? I heard that originally Vanessa was played by a different actress before the overhaul. Like sure, you bring back Vanessa's actress, but not everyone else who was relevant to the Netflix show. But it is what it is. All her scenes are reshoots, yet they still wrote her character and Fisk's character all wrong. Doesn't seem like Fisk never even got to serve 5 years in prison, which is pretty wild to think about. I mean, he had 5 RICO counts, so I don't even know anymore. After this, we get this BB report, which is basically just giving us updates on how the people in New York feel about the whole situation that's happening in the show regarding vigilantes. They're just there to give some exposition dumps and not much else. I find it kinda silly that we even get so many BB reports, considering BB Urich is barely involved in the show. What I find pretty weird is that people are crying out for Daredevil as if he's like the only one stopping crime around the city, and White Tiger I guess. But hold on, this is the MCU, where superheroes are pretty common, especially in New York City. Like, where is Spider-Man? Or Kate Bishop? Hawkeye? She-Hulk? Anyone? I mean, Spider-Man stands out the worst out of all of them, cause he was considered to be the next Iron Man. People clearly love him. If crime is getting pretty high and there are no vigilantes around, wouldn't more police officers come back to stop them? So now we cut to Matt's new law firm called Murdoch and McDuffie. There's now Karen Page. That's kinda weird. I wonder what happened to her. After this we cut to Dex's trial, with Matt giving his testimony. So I guess Dex survived being thrown off a roof and falling on his face somehow? I mean sure, Matt letting a fire extinguisher falling on this guy's head is a bit of a stretch, but he threw the guy into a dumpster below, which is more believable than someone falling on their face off a roof. But sure, he's here now and is totally fine. It's freaking weird that none of Foggy's family members show up to this trial. You're telling me none of them came to see if Foggy's killer will get punished? Not even Marcy? But hey, look, Karen shows up, who Matt apparently hasn't heard from for a while. That's weird. So anyways, Matt and Karen do eventually talk to each other, and this is what we're getting.
How are you?
San Francisco's nice. It's different from New York. Not too different.
Can we go somewhere? Maybe grab a cup of coffee or something?
I don't think so, Matt. I don't really want to do that.
You tell me, Karen. What do you expect me to do here? What do I need to do to have a conversation with you? I've tried calling. I've left messages.
No, I know. You're right. I just was busy.
Oh, don't give me busy. I can't.
My friend died too, Matt. And then I lost you. You didn't talk to me for weeks. I was halfway in and then halfway out.
Takes a minute.
Okay.
What the f is happening? Okay, so Karen left Hell's Kitchen and moved to San Francisco, and Matt hasn't been communicating with her for weeks? I'm sorry, I just don't buy that Matt wouldn't want to communicate to one of his closest friends, especially after season 2 and 3. I'm pretty sure he'd want to always check up on her to make sure she's okay, considering Bullseye attempted to kill her as well. He told Karen, who didn't seem to be interested to be around him the last time they talked, that he was Daredevil after losing Elektra, someone who he cared about deeply and was willing to run away with her. He was thinking of having a new life with Elektra. And if Matt wasn't responding to her calls, did she ever attempt to personally go to his apartment to try and talk to him? I don't even understand why Karen wouldn't want to catch up with Matt after finally being able to talk to him again. Karen had an entire arc in the original show of learning to never abandon Matt because of his abandonment issues.
Everyone in Matthew's life abandoned him, including me. When someone in need tries to push you away, you have to find the strength to hold on tighter.
And now you're telling me that she's not only willing to move to San Francisco, but also just not talk to Matt?
No, despite the crime and the darkness, every once in a while New York makes me feel...
Like safe?
Yes, is that weird?
I get it.
I'm sorry, who is this person and why are we calling her Karen?
I refuse to believe that a tragedy had to destroy everything.
But it did.
I'm sorry, but Karen wouldn't think that. She doesn't think what bad things you might have done have to defy you.
But it might be more than I deserve.
You hurt people. Doesn't have to define you.
Considering what her entire backstory was all about, mind you. Heck, she was even lenient with the Punisher, given she still had contact with him despite encouraging him not to kill that general guy. She literally said to Frank, if you do this, you're dead to me.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
This episode has now completely undone everyone's character growth from the original show and assassinated them all. You cannot be serious. Heck, I would actually think that after Foggy's Steph that they would become even closer, potentially getting even together, having each other's backs at all time. I do not believe for a second that they would not want to talk to each other and have Karen abandon Matt for one bit. I call this whack.
What are you gonna do about Daredevil?
I made a promise to myself that I'd let the system handle it. I'm not him anymore, and I won't let myself be.
And you think that that will help?
Doesn't make it worse.
Great, now Matt decided to stop being Daredevil after attempting to kill Dex because his best friend died. Which I don't believe Matt would do, considering his history and him knowing what it means to be Daredevil after everything he went through. And Karen does not attempt to convince Matt that he's wrong for doing so. She doesn't bring up the good he's done over the years to reaffirm why Daredevil is necessary. I'm sorry, but we already had an entire scene of Matt doubting himself of being Daredevil and wondering if he's even doing any good in season 1, when he talked to Claire about it and she reaffirms him that he does do good.
No matter what I do, I'm making things worse.
So that's the boy you saved from the Russians, or all the other people you've helped.
And what about the people I've gotten hurt?
Feel my heart. What is it telling you?
That you're scared.
Because I am. More than I've ever been in my life. But you can do something about it. For all of us.
And now you're telling me after he was able to take down Fisk and being Daredevil for 8 years, he would doubt himself? Oh, I'm sorry, Fisk is out of jail, so I guess all he did was Jack. Actually, even speaking of Fisk, he's currently out of prison and none of them decide to go and put him back to prison. Karen's whole thing in both season 1 and 3 is making sure that Fisk is behind bars. She even risked her life multiple times to do it. She would rather die than allowing Fisk to stay out of prison and causing harm. Do you remember how much investigating she did in the original? But now that Fisk is out, she not only decides to abandon Matt, who Fisk would have a personal vendetta with, but also leave to San Francisco? You cannot be serious. And also, have none of you ever wondered why Dex is out of prison? Why didn't Matt and Karen look into why Dex got let out in the first place and was after Foggy and Benny? A whole year and you two never bothered with that? You cannot be serious. So after this we cut to Matt's apartment, where he learns that Fisk has announced his candidacy as mayor and he announced his anti-vigilante campaign. Yeah, okay, and somehow he expects to win this despite the fact that he's not only a notorious cop killer, but also expects the people to endorse this anti-vigilante campaign, despite the fact this is the MCU, where all of those people in New York support the Avengers and also Daredevil was the one who ultimately stopped Fisk in the first place. The same guy who was hated by everyone and they all protested in front of his hotel for being let out of his cell in the first place and was relocated there by the FBI. The same guy who caused the whole FBI scandal and used one of their people to frame Daredevil for the murders at the bulletin and the church. The same guy who is hated by the NYPD and which also caused Blake Tower to go against him. That guy is expecting to win his candidacy and become the mayor of New York? Really? Remember how in season 3 everyone in the room at Fisk's party started talking about Fisk and staring at him in concern the moment the Nadim testimony came out? I guess everyone forgot. His campaign should have been shut down before it even began. So this is where we get introduced to the Cringe Squad. We got Sheila Rivera, who is Fisk's assistant and political advisor. The show doesn't really develop her character in any meaningful way. She's just there to babysit Fisk throughout the show pretty much, which I will get to later on. Buck Cashman, who is an associate and fixer. He's pretty much just a discount Wesley who just does everything Fisk tells him to do and nothing else. The show also doesn't develop him. We get no insight on his character or anything that makes him stand out. He just does things the Fisks tell him to do and he's competent at his job. That's about it. Next we got the worst character in this group, Daniel Blake. He's a member of Fisk's mayoral staff and just worships everything he does for what seems like no reason. He is pretty much the embodiment of the problem with this show by how the public perceives Fisk of all people. Like remember, Fisk was hated by the end of season 3, yet here Fisk has supporters like this guy and the show does not a good job of explaining why that is.
Impressed with your enthusiasm. Why would you vote for me?
Straight up, because you get shit done. You made things happen for yourself, now you make things happen for New York. I mean, Mayor Fisk. That's the coolest fucking thing on the planet.
But what is he even basing that on? What exactly does Fisk do that gets things done? The main thing he really seems to be interested in doing is this anti-vigilante campaign and the Red Hook port thing. It's also weird considering, you know, Fisk has a really bad history of doing horrible things in New York. Remember when he blew up Hell's Kitchen? How is it that Fisk is like the only one doing something against vigilantes? Are they trying to say the other politicians wouldn't care about the issues regarding the police force and vigilantes taking more prominence? Why is Daniel even in support of that? Does he have a bad history with vigilantes or something? Heck, we don't know, because the show doesn't give us any insights into Daniel's motivations and his character. He's like someone in his 20s who lived in New York during the reign of superheroes. Even something like him blaming the Avengers for a loss of a family member or friend during the Chitauri invasion, or any such event regarding any superhero that would explain why vigilantes need to be put in check by Fisk could have been something. But there's just nothing, and the show gives him so much screen time. At least have some dimension to his character. There's just nothing, and this affects every cast member. All he is just a Fisk supporter. Throughout my first viewing, I completely forgot everyone's names because they're just so unmemorable. So I ended up just calling them Wesley 1 and Wesley 2, because that's pretty much what they are. Sheila can be Wesley 3, I don't know.
Straight up, because you get shit done.
What does that mean? So we cut to Matt and Kirsten, who tells him that they have a meeting with a new client. But when they meet up, it turns out that she was lying to both of them because she wanted Matt to go see a therapist. Isn't it kinda scummy of Kirsten to set up a blind date with a therapist and lying to Matt about her needing a lawyer? He confronts Kirsten about it later on, but they just brush it off. I also find it so stupidly rushed the way this is even set up, with them meeting up because Kirsten tricked them, which in turn ends up with Matt getting together with her. Heck, and despite the fact this was meant to have Matt get in touch with a therapist, I don't think he actually talks to her about his issues in the show. Well, at least not on screen. I mean, you would think Heather, being a therapist, would ask why Matt is so untrustworthy of Fisk to help quell any emotional distress he has, but we don't get a single therapy session with them on screen. So all this was really here for is to give Matt a new love interest. Kirsten also has no relationship with Heather, which is insane because the show claims they're friends.
Anything for Kirsten. I'm glad she connected us. We go way back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to consult on some of her cases when she was at the district attorney's office.
Huh. She didn't mention it.
Yet she never talks to her throughout the entire show. You cannot be serious. She's exclusively just there for the whole Matt and Fisk situation. I can't believe they cut the audio here to add some music so we can't hear what they're saying. Now, why would we want these characters to interact? One of my favorite scenes in the original show was when Karen and Matt went out on a date. They actually talked to each other and learned new things. And Karen started describing the place they were at to Matt. They were so adorable together. And also throughout the whole show, we don't really learn much about Heather other than just surface level stuff, just like everyone else in the show. Later on, Cherry also shows up, who is a private investigator who works closely with Murdoch and McDuffie. So this is it, huh? We got not Foggy and not Karen, who are now here to completely replace them and given absolutely nothing to do to develop their characters. No, I'm not joking. Just like everyone else who is new to this show. They're given absolutely nothing to do other than surface level things. Heck, we don't even see how Cherry and Kirsten interact really, and how he even gets around navigating with her, considering he knows about Daredevil's identity.
Half the cops hate Fisk's guts, the other half dive off the Chrysler building for him.
What about the campaign?
Completely buttoned up. Every dollar accounted for, every income source absolutely clean. He came in late, he came in a lot of cash, and it's working for him.
Wait, Fisk came in late and is clean? How? By the end of season 3, Fisk should have nothing. And since he was hated by everyone, what the heck could he have done to gain the system? He had to orchestrate the whole FBI scandal by using the bad circumstances surrounding the people within to gain leverage over them, which failed in the end because Daredevil stopped him and everyone knew what his game was. The only way for Matt to think that Fisk was able to get so many votes would be that he has some kind of leverage over them. That's how he has always operated. Why is Fisk even running for his candidacy so late when the whole mayor thing was a setup in the post-credits for Echo? You would think he would have done it a lot sooner. The way Matt acts in this scene is as if Fisk is just some annoying guy he had to deal with, instead of the most dangerous villain ever that put all of his loved ones in danger.
If I didn't know better, know him better, I'd say he sounds sincere, like maybe he wants to actually do something for the city.
Look who you're talking about. The man crushes
I
every...
know, you think I don't know. I know. Well, this city actually elects him then. Maybe New York's getting the mayor it deserves.
So Matt goes and meets up with Fisk and they both go to like a coffee shop, which is just kind of a funny image seeing Matt and Fisk have a casual chat.
Well, I'll admit it's not entirely unpleasant. See you again.
But it should be. He's the one who stopped your whole operation and threatened your wife.
About your friend. I had nothing to do with his death. I kept that promise.
This is the one and only time they ever mentioned the deal they made at the end of season 3, which is just freaking insane because of the fact that Fisk is out of jail to begin with, would warrant Matt to go after Vanessa. Heck, that wasn't even the whole deal they made in season 3.
You will go back to prison, and you will live the rest of your miserable life in a cage. You'll keep my secret, and you won't harm Karen Page or fucking Nelson or anyone else. Because if you do, I will go after your wife.
Matt also has no reason to believe that he had nothing to do with Foggy's death, considering that he knows Fisk is a manipulative piece of trash. Remember how in season 2, Matt immediately concluded that Fisk had Frank released from prison? Heck, if he actually bothered looking into Dex's release, he would know that Vanessa is behind it. Dex officially got out on paper, which is way worse. Vanessa is so stupid that she made a paper trail that leads back to them. You cannot be serious. Wouldn't it be very weird to Fisk that Dex got out of prison and his first targets was Foggy, Karen and Matt, but not him and Vanessa? Fisk has no reason to keep his end of the deal at this point and can just expose Daredevil's identity and go after his loved ones. There's nothing stopping him from doing so. Matt talks about how he will go after Fisk if he gets a whiff that Fisk is doing anything illegal, but we know he is no longer Daredevil and is entirely putting his stock in the law, so he should be looking into things like Dex's release. In the second to final episode, Matt quickly put together that there is more going on simply by figuring out that Foggy was prematurely celebrating something, and Matt decides to visit Dex in prison because of that. If Matt is so attentive like that, he should have looked into Dex's release. Heck, Hawkeye in his own show has a video of Fisk doing his criminal deeds. So where the heck is he and why isn't he exposing Fisk? Whatever, who cares? This is the MCU where we keep forgetting that other superheroes exist.
Why is it I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system?
Okay, go after Vanessa. So afterwards we see Matt and Heather going out for a walk, and they even kiss later on, which implies that they're dating. And Matt learns that Fisk actually won the election with a 53% vote. That's freaking insane and completely nonsensical, especially when Fisk came in late into the party. But also the fact that he even came in with 53%, considering once again who Wilson Fisk is and what he has done, which everyone is or should be aware of. But Pyro, have you considered that Donald Trump is the president now? Donald Trump and Fisk are not guilty of identical crimes. I don't recall Trump ever shooting at cops or blowing up Hell's Kitchen. Fisk stands on a rooftop and talks to Vanessa.
I know about Adam, Vanessa.
Do not kill him.
Okay, so now you're telling me that Vanessa cheated on Fisk with someone else, which is very out of character for her to do considering how loyal she was to Fisk in the original show. She was not only almost poisoned to death, but she also had to deal with being apart from him for 2 years and still stayed in contact with him until they reunited again near the end of season 3. Her entire motivation was to be with Fisk and be part of his life. She knew what was at stake, yet she still decided to be with him. She even begged Daredevil to stop when he was beating the crap out of him. And now you're telling me she'll cheat on Fisk? You cannot be serious. And we get more out of character moments of Matt just letting someone get mocked and doing nothing about it. At this point I noticed how incredibly obnoxious this show is with its music. Sometimes it uses licensed songs that just don't fit with the scenes at all, and other times it's just there just because. Like, they play the main theme like so many times, and I expect Matt is gonna do something awesome, but no, it's just there for no reason other than having music in the background. So episode 2 begins with Fisk giving us some speech about how bad vigilantes are.
We know how to take care of ourselves. We don't need a gun-toting vigilante who wears a skull on his chest, or a man who dresses in a spider outfit.
Hey look, he mentioned Spider-Man. Oh boy, I wonder where he is during all the nonsense that happens in this show. Also, the Punisher? Is the Punisher really seen as a vigilante by the public? I mean, he is one, but I thought in season 2 he was seen as a crazed lunatic. They were even preparing the death penalty for him, which is why Matt wanted to represent him, and he sabotaged his own trial. So like, how can the Punisher be seen in the same vein as Spider-Man or Daredevil? Whatever, so here we see this guy named Hector Ayala going down a subway station while 2 dudes are beating on this other guy, and Hector comes in to help him out and gets into a fight with the 2 two of them. And during the fight, one of them accidentally trips and gets hit by a train, with the other guy revealing that he's a cop this whole time. Damn, how convenient it is that there's no one else at the subway, despite the fact that this is New York, which is a pretty big city that has a lot of people in it, especially during New Year's Eve. You would think that the subways would be filled with lots of people. I mean, heck, I don't think subways are ever this empty. And how convenient that the train just arrived right when he fell onto the tracks. But okay, it's not that major of a deal. So after that we get another BB report, and then we cut to Fisk in his office. There's a shot of his hand being all bloody, clearly showing that he's hiding something. Fisk doesn't look enthused into having these important meetings, with Sheila here telling him that his first few days are critical. That's weird. Almost looks to me as if Fisk doesn't really want to fulfill his duty as a mayor. That sure is a bit weird. So Matt happens to be at the police station and overhears the cops beating on Hector. So he goes in and offers to be his lawyer. He hears from his heartbeat that he's not lying about having not killed the cops, but his heartbeat increases when he asks him if he's hiding something from him. And after that happens, we cut to probably the greatest scene in the show. Are you ready? Okay, so Fisk and his cringe squad are sitting in traffic because there's a big hole in the street. So Fisk steps out of his car, goes to a construction worker and says this.
I want you to stop what you're doing and fill that hole. You have the equipment and the manpower.
Hey, sorry, sir. It's the red tape. We're waiting on the permit approval.
Consider it approved.
And then they just all go and fill the hole. And everyone is like pulling out their cameras, cheering for Fisk like he gets things done.
Yes, filling a hole like this, it's not rocket science. Remember I told you that I'd get things done? Well, here I am getting them done.
You know, it's not like they're still gonna be stuck in traffic anyways, because it takes time to repair this hole. But like, he goes up to this guy and just demands that he fills the hole, despite the fact he clearly stated it's a red tape and that they're waiting for the permit approval. Yet Fisk just tells him to do it and he does it. That's not how being mayor works. You can't just say you're gonna do something and then it happens just like that. Heck, we don't even know how long that hole has been there or if there are any other problems, and this is like on a bridge. Whatever, man, fill that hole. No paperwork or anything. Woo, Fisk, he fills all the holes. Hell's Kitchen blew up, just fill the holes. That guy over there, you got 24 hours to fill the holes. So Matt is back at the office arguing with not Foggy and not Karen, who don't want to take this case because it's a he says situation.
He said. Matt, you take on this case, it's gonna look like you're siding against the whole NYPD.
Why does Cherry think that Matt taking this case would make it seem like he's going against the whole NYPD? Did the NYPD forget who Matt Murdock is? Does he not think that there can be people who got wrongfully accused of something? But they end up taking the case anyways.
Kirsten, what did I tell you to get you to come over from the DA's office?
You said that I was brilliant, which is true.
Oh, you are, Kirsten? Gee, I sure hope her brilliance is being shown throughout the show and isn't just some line being put there to make it seem like they have to banter when in reality they have no actual friendship I should care about. But whatever, Matt has a plan or something. So we finally get introduced to Bibi Urich, who is the niece of Ben Urich, who is also the one who does the Bibi reports. So it's shown that she's like friends with Wesley too and is trying to get in touch with Fisk personally. It's kind of weird to what her motivation here is exactly. Like, Fisk is impressed with her coverage on him, and apparently she helped gassing up his campaign, especially to the young people.
I've been watching the socials and everyone is talking about you. You're even in the Bieber report and you're blowing up, sir.
But after Fisk brings up Ben Urich, she starts looking visibly uncomfortable, which I think is supposed to showcase that she feels uneasy when it comes to talking about him. So throughout the show, she's like trying to find dirt on him, which is to take down Fisk, which is also what was established near the end of the show. But like, why was she gassing up his campaign to begin with that helped him get a few extra votes? You pretty much gave him the key to becoming mayor, but like, why? So you want him to get more power so you can take away his power? Whatever, it's not like they really do much with Bibi in the show anyways. just like everyone else in the show. So we cut to Heather in this place here, which also reveals that she writes books as well. And while she's giving autographs, some Johnny comes in and asks her if she takes in any new clients. Cause remember, she's a therapist and she's a very important character in the story. This guy's already acting pretty shady and I immediately knew this guy was gonna be Muse. Cause like, who else would it be? Here we get introduced to a new character called Commissioner Gallo, and he's like the only one here who seems to understand how stupid the whole mayor angle is and knows who Wilson Fisk is.
I didn't kill Officer Shanahan.
Maybe not him, but plenty of others. Still makes no sense to me, this mayor thing. So you gave up your criminal empire for what? So you could have less money and less power? Do you know who Samuel Vance was? Mayor Vance was the mayor of New York in 1874. He served for 1 month. It is my personal mission to make sure that your term is shorter than his. Once a thug, always a thug. See you around, Kingpin.
Like, this just leaves me questioning again. If people know who Fisk is, then how the heck did all of this even happen in the first place? You see, we live in a fantasy world where everyone just forgot what Fisk did, but only a select few characters know everything he did, and he becomes mayor when he came in late into his campaign. But whatever, I guess. This is the MCU where everything is just possible and quickly forgotten about the next movie or show. Gallo tells Fisk that it's his personal mission to make sure his term is short, and we will get back to that soon enough, don't worry about that. So Kirsten and Cherry are at Hector's house where they have a talk with his wife, so it's clear that they're here to do some investigations, cause Matt asks Cherry about it. So Cherry goes inside the bedroom and finds the white tiger suit, and it's so dumb the way he found it. So he asks the wife for a suit for Hector's trial, and when she's about to get it, Cherry is like, nah, it's fine, I'll get it. And she just lets her go in their bedroom? Yeah, sure, okay. So he walks around the place and just so happened to stumble upon a box that is underneath the bed. Like, it's not even that well hidden, and the box wasn't even locked, and that's the way he found it. You cannot be serious. Is he seriously that reckless with hiding his suit? Remember the way Matt hid his suit? Where he hid it underneath his other personal belongings, which is less obvious? Matt confronts Hector about it and he apologizes for the fact he didn't tell Matt about it.
If I can find this out, you better believe the DA's office can.
I don't even think the DA's office would even have a search warrant for his house. Oh, you assaulted an officer at a subway. Like, okay, does that mean they have to search his house? And even if they did, Cherry or his wife could like hide it somewhere else. So Gallo visits Fisk's office and he tells him that he's going to resign from being the police commissioner. But I don't understand. Why would he do that right after he made it his personal mission to take him down? He said he wants to make sure his term is short, yet he leaves? Gallo should not trust the next person in line to be commissioner to not be under Fisk. And what's weird is that Fisk is threatening him with his family in order for him to stay, but like, why would Fisk want that when he could just get another guy? And also, hold on, if Fisk is trying to change for the better or whatever the heck he's doing.
But now the Kingpin is back.
No, he's not. My time away, let's say I followed a road less traveled, and at its end I found a new man.
Do not kill him.
Not that man anymore.
Then why is he threatening Gallo with his family? I don't understand. Does he want to change for the better or not? Like, just let him resign. I don't even know why Fisk still wanted him when they write it so that no one follows his orders and all the corrupt cops are pretty much against him. All Fisk is allowing Gallo being around is a liability. Which is also weird because he was established to be a well-respected commissioner, but whatever, I guess. Gallo is just there to gawk at Fisk ignoring legal procedures and fail to do anything against him. When again, he said it was his mission to take him down, yet he does nothing about it throughout the show really. You cannot be serious. So Matt is arguing with the judge as well as the other lawyer about how Hector's history as White Tiger is irrelevant to the case. But wait a second, are we meant to think that Matt gave this info to them? Because why would he do that to begin with when not only was he the one who got to the suit first, and also he had no legal obligation to do that because of the attorney-client privilege? Unless we are actually supposed to believe that they let the DA search his house and didn't bother hiding the suit? Either way, it's stupid. Matt doesn't even give any actual explanation as to why it doesn't matter to the case. He says it's because he wasn't in his White Tiger outfit, like as if that means anything, because the other lawyer makes a really good point.
This is next level, Murdoch. That guy's a vigilante.
He wasn't in possession of his mystical amulet or in the White Tiger outfit at the time of the incident, allowing this type of totally inflammatory information will unfairly bias the jurors.
It speaks straight to the heart of the case. It suggests a pattern of behavior that drove Hector Ayala to kill Officer Shanahan on that subway platform.
The jury will be deliberating about the tragic events of a single evening. The proceedings must rest not on my client's clothing, but what happened on the platform that night.
The Punisher doesn't wear masks when he assaults cops. Does that excuse the times he does? Also, Hector has a former military background.
Mr. Ayala is a decorated Army veteran. He has no record. He served as a CPA for 15 years. He's a pillar of his community.
So he doesn't even need the amulet to assault and kill an officer. Plus, since everyone hates vigilantes now for no reason, it makes it even harder to accept that the judge and the jury would allow him to, or for Matt, to use his vigilantism as a means to exonerate him. After this we get a pointless BB report, but then we get a scene that I think is actually kinda decent. They talk about how this White Tiger case sits closer to home with Matt. Cherry is glad that he moved on from his life as Daredevil, and Matt has strong feelings about Hector going out as White Tiger and fighting crime, which is why this case is so important to him. I wish the show has more scenes like this, because this is actually some pretty good stuff. So Matt walks to a nearby church, which at that point I realized that there has been no religious aspect going on in the show so far. Heck, the entire show barely focuses on his Catholic beliefs. I read that the reason for that is because they wanted to tone down the religious stuff for this show, but I think this was a mistake, because him being a Catholic was a big part of the original show and why he believes in redemption, which also makes me question where the heck is Maggie. At the end of season 3, Matt asks her to guide him in case he needs help again.
In fact, Father Lantham used to help me with that. Help me see the errors of my ways. Use someone else to help me with that now.
I'm a nun, Matthew. Helping is what I was called to do.
But throughout the entire show, Maggie is nowhere to be seen, making her another character that's completely forgotten about in this show. I'm pretty sure even if he doesn't seek her for guidance, she would still want to seek out Matt, especially after what happened with Bullseye. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you even forgot that he's Catholic, because the show barely focuses on that aspect of his character. I get it, guys, he lost Foggy and his big set, because you know, apparently Foggy is more important than Father Lantham. But him losing his faith in religion again, especially from his whole character progression at this point. We're not exploring anything new here. Why do we have to have characters relearn the same things again they already learned previously? So now Fisk and Vanessa are in couples therapy with Heather. How lucky that out of all the therapists in New York, it's Matt's girlfriend they talk to.
My husband and I have been through a lot these last couple of years. Until very recently, we ran a complex business. Then Wilson left. Disappeared, really.
This seems to be weirdly out of character for Fisk to do. Just leave her without staying in touch with her or telling her where he is. Because she's literally the person Fisk wants to be with. Heck, he even went to prison for her just to keep her safe from any consequences. But okay, the explanation he gives is because he was attacked by a vigilante and had to recover. And my guess is in order for her to stay safe, he wasn't in contact with her. Okay, this seems reasonable. But this is something Vanessa should understand given his line of work. Like I said previously, she understands how dangerous it can be around him.
I knew being with you would be complicated. I made that choice. Find who did this to us and make them understand. They could never take you away from me.
It also feels very out of character for Vanessa, considering she had to stay apart from Fisk for like 2 years until the near end of season 3. She always stayed loyal to him. Fisk literally did the whole FBI thing. Vanessa should not think that he left her on his own accord. Also, she's a crime boss at this point. Wouldn't she have to understand that sometimes not everything is up to you when outside parties or even inside parties start to become a problem that can inconvenience in ways you don't expect? Sheila even said that Vanessa for some reason refuses to be part of the narrative.
However, Vanessa's resistance to being part of the narrative is hurting you with more traditional voters.
I see.
But why wouldn't she want to be part of it? Her motivation in season 3 was wanting to be fully part of Fisk's life.
I don't want to admire your world. I want to live inside of it with you. If you truly want me, share your life with me. Fully.
So I don't get it. Does Vanessa just want to be a criminal, or does she want to be with Fisk? This whole thing of Fisk and Vanessa needing a couples counseling session feels like a comedy. Like, oh look how funny it is that the Fisks are in therapy. Making me believe that the show was originally meant to be a comedy, similar to She-Hulk or something. So anyways, Matt overhears the corrupt cops talking about how he's going after the guy they attacked and plan on killing him. So Matt hurries to his apartment to get him out of there. He wants to use him as a key witness witness in Hector's case and told Cherry to pick him up. So he tells him to escape from the fire escape, but then he decides to stay behind in his apartment instead of just leaving with Nikki. Why is he doing that? Is he just there to mock the cops for not getting to him sooner? The cops know who he is and why he's here. So then it's revealed that this guy has a Punisher tattoo, which is gonna be important for later on in the story. So they beat up Matt and try to kill him, but then Matt gets up and beats both of them up, breaking this guy's arm and knocking that guy out, which I assumed he snapped that guy's neck due to the sound effect used when he slammed it on the ground. So he's pretty much compromising his blindness, which ultimately makes him super suspicious to them, which would end up making them look more into Matt Murdock, which would end up revealing that he's Daredevil. You cannot be serious. This entire scene happens because Matt is a fucking idiot. All of this could have been avoided if he just left with Nikki. So he picks up his broken glasses and starts screaming, and then the credits comedically start rolling, which doesn't fit the tone of the scene at all, with Get Free by the Vines playing in the background. And all I thought to myself when I heard the song was the Charlie's Angels video game on GameCube, because it uses the song in the main menu. My god, this is so stupid. Can't play Charlie's Angels on GameCube. This episode was a mess. I mean, it wasn't as bad as episode 1, but that's not really saying much. By the way, something funny in the episode 2 recap is that they removed the neck crack sound effect. I wonder why. So Matt goes to visit Hector in prison and we start to learn more about him.
Luquillo is a beach near where I'm from in Puerto Rico. To me, it's the most beautiful place on earth. White sand, palm trees, and the coqui. This little tree frog doesn't croak, it sings its name. The tourists, man, they think it's noisy and annoying, but to us Boricuas, man, it's a magical sound.
Wow, that sounds very interesting. I hope Hector gets to do more throughout the rest of the show. So there's like a truck robbery going on at Red Hook, which is something related to the people Vanessa was working with. Okay, whatever.
Last night there was a double homicide not half a mile from the port. Apparently a hijacking gone wrong.
They're misbehaving because there's no one at the head of the table.
How does Vanessa know it's them exactly? She just does, I guess. Matt talks to the corrupt cop in the bathroom and he acknowledges that he's a blind lawyer who can fight.
You're a blind lawyer who can fight.
And somehow that's just not suspicious enough for him to look into it, I guess? You cannot be serious. Cherry goes to pick up Nikki from a safe house. Ah yes, they can put Nikki in a safe house but didn't think to put Benny in one. And he gives him cocaine before the trial. I mean, I'm guessing he didn't take any before going to the courthouse. But I did hear that apparently they don't take any drug tests before testifying in a courtroom. But if they see the witness like tweaking out, it would not help with the credibility. But whatever, Nikki seems fine. So now we're at the trial of White Tiger. I want to note though, before moving forward, I'm not a law expert since I'm not a lawyer and I don't live in America. So I have limited knowledge on these things. I just know what I know from what I was told and from stuff regarding the Netflix show, which is gonna be relevant here. So basically the corrupt cop is telling a fabricated story that there was no one here and Hector just came out of nowhere and attacked them. They specifically say that it happened on New Year's Eve and that they volunteered to work. Now the first thing and the most obvious thing Matt should have asked was if there were any cameras at the subway, because if there were, they would have seen what actually happened there that night. And if there weren't any subway cameras, were there any body cam footage on them? This is relevant because cops are required to wear body cams when they're on duty to record interactions and gather video evidence. Remember that in season 1 half of the cops were corrupted by Fisk? Pretty sure after that whole fiasco that they would want to push for body cams. And it's not like this universe doesn't have any body cams or something, because they literally mention them later on.
No body cameras. That sort of thing.
Powell even mentions that he showed their badges and that Hector kept attacking, so they didn't do their proper duties when arresting Hector. Yet the thing is, the show never mentions any camera footage. Matt never brings this up as if the show is deliberately ignoring it.
Officer Powell, let's try this. You ever met a man named Nicky Torres?
I never heard of him.
It's curious, because as I understand it, Nicky Torres is a confidential informant, used to work with the NYPD. In fact, used to work with you and Officer Shanahan directly. Did you and Officer Shanahan have an arranged meeting with Nicky Torres on the platform that night?
I told you I don't know him.
Yeah, you did say that. Thank you.
Okay, and what did that do exactly? Why don't you bring up the lack of any actual evidence that Hector was unjustified in defending himself? Remember when that was a thing that was established in the original show?
And in the state of New York, I'll remind you that my client is not required to prove that he was justified in his actions. Instead, it's up to the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was not justified in defending his life.
Now, once again, it's also extremely lucky that no one else was at the subway that night, despite the fact that this is on New Year's Eve and New York City has a lot of people in it. What would those cops plan if a group of people or a crowd just walked downstairs because it's New Year's Eve and they would be waiting for a train to arrive home or any other place when they were interrogating Nikki? What if someone showed up and decided to pull out their phone and record the interaction without getting involved? So then we get a shot of a guy who has a Punisher tattoo right on his neck where it's clearly visible and anyone can see it. So this is where we get introduced to these Punisher worshipping cops, which I find to be extremely nonsensical in this universe, considering that the cops hated Frank Castle in the Netflix show. Other cops would become wary of you, especially when you have it at such an obvious spot that anyone could see. But I'll talk about the Punisher cops later on in the episode. So Jerry is bringing Nikki to the courthouse to testify, but I don't understand. Why did they decide to bring Nikki there right when the trial has already begun? Why didn't you bring him to the courthouse before it began? Isn't there like a safe place where Nikki can stay in before the trial? I mean, if you have the issue of the corrupt cops being there, which would want to cause trouble and probably kill him, have Jerry look after him? I mean, heck, it would be incredibly suspicious if Nikki just dies in the courthouse right before he testifies, would it not? Like, this is just ridiculous because everyone is just waiting in the courtroom for Jerry to bring Nikki here, and the judge keeps questioning where the witness is.
Looking at the doors isn't going to get them here any faster.
Who says I'm looking at the doors?
Matt, are you kidding me? Can you stop compromising your blindness?
Good? Yeah. Come on, let's go!
Wait, I don't understand. How did Powell not see him enter in that other car? They seemingly made it seem like Jerry put him in the van, but then off screen he was in a taxi all along. He wasn't in the van this whole time, which Officer Powell was chasing, the same guy who testified like moments ago in court. Trial has begun, by the way, and he's not here. He just mysteriously vanished to do something else, I guess. Wouldn't that seem incredibly suspicious that he ran off out the building and Nikki was found dead before reaching the courthouse? Or was Powell planning to kidnap him in broad daylight on a public road? I'm confused here. Anyways, Nikki finally makes it to the courthouse and Matt brings him on stand. So basically he tells everyone what Matt already told them, and then Torres is pressured to lie.
Mr. Torres, is that what you're doing on the night of New Year's Eve? Were you passing along the information to Officers Shanahan and Powell?
No. I was home all night.
Forgive me, I'm confused here. Previously, you stated pretty clearly that you were actually at the 168th Street subway station being beaten when
Hector Ayala intervened to save your life.
Objection.
With great risk put himself in harm's way, didn't he?
Isn't that true? Matt, what the heck are you doing? You just put words in his mouth. Nikki didn't say he was at the subway station. The entire point of this was to make him say that he was. Remember, this guy is supposed to be a professional lawyer who has been doing this for a while now. Yet strategic genius Matt Murdock over here decided to yell at him like that instead of asking the judge for permission to treat him as a hostile witness because he's clearly pressured into lying. Why doesn't Matt attempt to ask him a few questions in order to make him say what he wants to hear? He did that in the original show when someone was pressured into lying.
Like permission to treat the witness as hostile?
14 years, give or take.
And how many death certificates would you estimate you've signed in that time?
I don't,
Probably in the tens of thousands.
So he decides to withdraw the witness instead of trying to get the info out of him that you wanted. You cannot be serious. So Wesley 1 meets up with like the crime gangs, whatever, and Luca owes a lot of money to Victor over here, which is sorta gonna be relevant later on, I guess. I don't care.
I don't take orders from the mayor's errand boy.
I don't work for the mayor. I work for the man.
Good. Got it. Great. Good.
So what do we have without Nikki?
Nothing. Our entire defense just got flushed down the toilet.
Seriously, Matt? Were you seriously only betting on Nikki Torres?
He's innocent. We put him on the stand. He tells his side of the story. The truth. And we hope the jury see him the way we do.
What? What kind of plan is that? So strategic genius Matt Murdock over here thinks it's a good idea to just repeat their side of the story, as if that's gonna change anything. How can you even do legal cases in this universe if he says, she says win legal arguments?
I heard yelling. Sounded like someone was in trouble, so I ran down.
What did you see?
A man getting beat up.
What about the men who were doing the beating? Did you know them?
No. I was just trying to help.
Could have just walked away, ignored the problem. You decided to risk your own safety to help a stranger. Wasn't the first time, was it?
I don't understand.
Well, I'm just saying that you put yourself in harm's way before. Many times. The question is, why?
No, Matt, don't do that.
Yes
no,
no.
Matt, stop. Ah!
Yes or no? Mr.
So strategic genius Matt Murdock over here decided to violate attorney-client privilege to expose Hector as the White Tiger in order to show that Hector is actually a good guy to the judge and jury. This is a horrible thing to do, which could get Matt in serious trouble. He could get suspended for his actions or sued. This is also bad because previously both sides agreed to keep his identity as White Tiger a secret. Yet not only does Matt not get in trouble for it, it also makes him win the case, which I will go over later. Matt just gets a slap on the wrist and they continue on with the trial. You cannot be serious. Another thing is that Matt Murdock wouldn't do such a thing at all to another superhero because he knows about the dangers of revealing someone's secret identity. Any enemy that Hector has could be going after his friends and family. Even She-Hulk understood that.
Talking about superheroes who have enemies who will try to harm them, and the people close to them. The ones who didn't ask to be a part of this life. Now, Ms. Walters chose to have her identity be public, but it isn't up to her to choose for everyone else. This isn't about privacy for privacy's sake. If this information is not protected, not only would it ruin my client's career, it could put a lot of people in a lot of danger.
Like, how is it that She-Hulk understood Matt's character way better than his own show? Hector doesn't even get mad at Matt for doing that. Matt, you're a freaking jerk and I hope you eat a sock. So now they get a bunch of people on the stand who got saved by White Tiger to talk about how much of a great guy he is. But this is just nonsensical because a clear thing that the Netflix show established is that it doesn't matter if you're a good or bad person. It's the argument Matt made with one of his clients.
What was in my client's heart when he took Mr. Prohaska's life, whether he is a good man or something else entirely, is irrelevant. These questions of good and evil, as important as they are, have no place in a court of law. Only the facts matter. My client claims he acted in self-defense.
Because the point of this trial is the fact that a cop was murdered at the subway. So it doesn't matter if he was good in the past. Now, here is the thing. It can help to bring light into what kind of character Hector is and contextualize their intentions. But it shouldn't be the only thing Matt is betting on. But heck, if that was the intention, then why doesn't he want to appeal to the people on Hector's character based on the good he does for others? Why not contact Hector's military connections and people he helped as Hector? What makes it also bad is the fact that Fisk now knows White Tiger's identity because the previous episode said that he was closely watching it.
How does it feel to know that Mayor Fisk will be watching this trial very closely?
Matt should know that Fisk is watching, so he put Hector in grave danger. This is also especially bizarre because remember, this is a city that voted Fisk because he was launching an anti-vigilante campaign. So the city is largely against vigilantes for no reason. So how the heck do you expect me to believe that he was gonna win this case based on him being a vigilante?
Good people can do bad things. Bad people can do good things. Humans. All of us, we're messy, complicated, capable of good, capable of evil. Hector Ayala might have done some good things. Does that make him incapable of doing a bad thing?
This guy over here is literally spitting facts, yet it doesn't matter anyways, cause Matt ends up winning the case anyway. This is complete bull. You cannot be serious. I wanna cry. Like this is just torture to my eyes and ears. So Fisk asks Wesley too that he wants to see Bibi Yurik again for some reason. I don't know why he cares so much about this person, but whatever. And we cut to Matt and Heather in his apartment. Wow, it's been a while, I almost forgot she existed. So during the date, Matt mentions his drink that he and Foggy drank every time they win a case. And keep this one in mind, cause it will be important for later on in the story. So despite Matt telling Hector that he has to leave White Tiger behind, Hector puts on the suit anyways to go out and fight crime. So Hector walks down this alleyway. Like, does he just casually walk down the streets? You would expect the vigilante who goes around at night to like navigate through dark places, but no, he just casually walks around at night, cause who cares, am I right? So some guy comes around the corner and shoots Hector in the head and he's dead. Well, that was a waste of White Tiger. We spent 2 episodes around this whole case and learning a little bit about Hector, just so he dies and his entire character ended up being pointless. He was basically just there because of some message about vigilantes and nothing else. I was seriously ready to learn more about Hector. He seemed like an interesting character. Heck, I don't even know what his amulet does. He could have been like teaming up with Daredevil later on or something, but no, all of this was just a waste of time and Matt pretty much got Hector killed. You cannot be serious. And then it's revealed that it's some guy wearing the Punisher logo on his chest. But it's like clearly not Frank who did that. It's a corrupt cop that shot Hector in the face. Heck, if it's so easy to kill White Tiger, then he should have been killed like way sooner. Now, I want to talk about the whole idea of there being Punisher worshipping cops in the first place. It's completely nonsensical. Now, why would there be Punisher worshipping cops to begin with? Why would they see Frank Castle as this righteous figure? Because it's not like they go around killing only bad people like Frank does throughout the show, which would actually give some nuance to their motivation. But no, they're just evil cops regardless of context. So what's even the point of them being Punisher worshipping cops if they don't even behave like the Punisher? Like, they could have just been any corrupt cops and the story wouldn't really change. They targeted an innocent man who they have no proof actually killed the cops outside of their word, which Powell apparently was unaware of that, which I thought would make Powell seem like there's more going on to his Punisher worshipping. I thought Powell could have been misguided in his intentions and he could see where he was wrong in the end or something. But no, he's just like everyone else in the show, a cartoonish bad guy. This is also the problem of characters just not getting any subplots in the show. It literally leaves them nothing of nuance to do. Like, remember Blake and Hoffman in the original show? They were corrupt cops, but there was more going on with them than just evil for the sake of being evil. Like, they showed some banter between them to show that they're friends. Fisk bribed Hoffman into killing him, and it was sad for Hoffman that he's forced to take Blake out, his best friend that he knew since they were kids, which in the end he went into hiding, and when he was saved by Daredevil, he was convinced to confess to his crimes, which led to Fisk's arrest. Nothing like that is ever going on with any of these characters. Corrupt cops are evil, and that's their entire personality. They also don't provide any new commentary that don't already exist in the Netflix series. Like, the FBI in season 3 provided how when you let people like Fisk believe they are untouchable, they will win. So they took White Tiger's suit that they found and put it in a bag. Now, something I was asked about is why did the corrupt cop not take Hector's amulet? Well, I thought to myself that he wouldn't really care about it, but he could have picked it up so that no one else can have it and be the White Tiger. I was debating if this was even a thing I should bring up considering it's a minor thing, but then I saw leaked photos for season 2 where it's shown that Hector Sneeze will be the next White Tiger, which means him leaving behind the amulet is what allows her to become White Tiger in season 2. So anyways, Hector Sneeze comes to visit. Well, she got in somehow off screen, so like, whatever. You know, I was expecting her to blame Matt over her uncle's death considering he doxed him, but no, actually. We don't get anything like this. I mean, even then, knowing Matt's character, I would still think that he would blame himself for Hector's death, feeling responsible over something that could have been prevented. But no, the show just completely ignores the fact that Matt was the one who pretty much put a target on Hector. I kind of fail to understand why they would give Matt the bag of Hector stuff when, like, wouldn't his family receive it? Jesus, I'm getting deja vu. So now we get introduced to a new villain. His name is Muse, and he's gonna be important, I guess, sorta. Yeah, so we cut to this party with BB and Wesley too. BB is like getting him drunk and makes him spill some beans on stuff like Fisk is planning to do. And of course Wesley too is too stupid to realize this.
What can I say? I love the guy.
But after this, we cut to this store where some guy is getting arrested because he was trying to steal like 5 boxes of caramel corn, which is gonna be a subplot for this episode later on. But before we can continue with that, we're now back to the couples therapy with Heather. By the way, another issue with Born Again that stems from Echo, Maya was trying to help Fisk overcome his trauma regarding his event that cements who he is. But when he gets back out of the mind stuff, he acts the same and refused to change. So nothing was accomplished. Born Again wasn't even interested in tackling what actually was done to him and shoved the events of Echo under the rug. Matt knows that Fisk broke the law since he knows that Echo shot him in the face.
You have children?
No. You?
Oh, no. I tried to mentor someone, but, well, that's the closest I've come.
Didn't she shoot you in the face?
Which means he would have found out that Fisk was a wanted man in Hawkeye. Matt doesn't even seem interested in talking about other enemies of Fisk, or about the possibility of Fisk being targeted now when Echo almost killed him and escaped custody. Remember, Fisk is out of prison, so he's an easier target. Fisk brings up Echo as a conversation starter, as being her mentor. Without knowing what Matt does know about the relationship, Fisk just talks about his close bond with Echo to the guy that uses his connection with Vanessa against him. What was Fisk's plan if Echo decided to threaten his livelihood again? Or team up with Matt when she's someone who can testify and hates Fisk? Echo and Fisk's relationship isn't public knowledge from what I've been told. So Vanessa starts talking about this Adam person that Fisk mentioned in episode 1 and why she started going out with him. She said she liked Adam cause he's not like a part of Fisk's world.
It was his hands. His hands drew beautiful sketches, I mean, just...
We not.
He wasn't part of my husband's world.
But she wanted to be fully part of it, which entails the criminal activities he does. So does she just not like that anymore? If so, why is she still running the criminal enterprise? Why is she against being a part of Fisk's narrative if she doesn't like the crime business? This is also incredibly disrespectful to her character / history, cause she has had a life away from Fisk prior to being with him. And she still wanted to be involved with him despite the past circumstances where she almost died. I don't even understand the point of mentioning his hands and how he draws sketches. I mean, I guess Vanessa likes art, but that's like where it stops. There's nothing really all that interesting about Adam. Like, this is just a pointless conflict, because in the end, Fisk is evil again, and Vanessa kills Adam anyways, reverting back to how they were before. So like, what is even the point of this therapy subplot? Is it for the funnies? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
You left, which felt like taking half of me away.
Okay, he was in jail in the Netflix show and still came back. So it's revealed that Vanessa was never able to end the affair, and Fisk says that he confronted Adam, and at this point it's obvious that he either killed him or has him locked up somewhere, which is what is literally shown to us at the end of the episode. But once again, what is the point of this whole I wanna change for the better thing when all Fisk does is still threaten people and lock them up in his basement so he can beat on them? If he's just gonna be a bad guy again in the end, then it's just another Matt has to stop Fisk story again because he's evil. I mean, heck, wouldn't it have been interesting if Fisk had a redemption arc, which also ties into the themes of the original show? That would have been something different at least. But no, we waste like 7 episodes of nothing just so Fisk is a big meanie head again that Matt needs to fight. It's not like we had 3 seasons where Matt had to deal with him already or anything. Matt goes to visit this douchebag in jail. He's incredibly rude to Matt, making fun of him being blind, and is also really stupid.
I said I didn't do that shit.
I understand. The thing is, the bodega where this allegedly occurred has a surveillance system. Store security guard will testify that when he detained you, you were in possession of multiple boxes of fiddle-faddle caramel corn.
I paid for that shit last week.
Unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that. Mr. Bradford, generally you pay for what you buy. that day.
Could it have been a scroll?
What? So now you're a Skrull? So for context, the Skrulls were basically like shape-shifting creatures who were around for like at least Far From Home as far as I know. Cause the Nick Fury in that movie was a Skrull disguised as him. But like during Secret Invasion, which I haven't watched, and probably neither have you, they were like apparently at war with them or something. But from what I heard is that the president has announced that they are going to kill any Skrull on sight or something. So was Leroy just trying to get himself killed or something? I mean, heck, how could it have been a Skrull if they arrested you specifically? Are you stupid? So he's telling Matt to give him probation, and Matt goes to this person to see what he can do. She only shows up once and is not relevant ever again, so whatever. Matt so happens to run into Officer Powell, and he's accusing him of killing Hector, but he tells him that he didn't do it, and from his heartbeat he can tell that he isn't lying. So Powell is completely unaware of the fact that one of his Punisher buddies killed him, but he doesn't seem to care about it later on because Punisher cops are pointless. Fisk goes to the Red Hook port and plans on like making changes to it, but Sheila tells him, no Fisk, as mayor you can't just change things.
You can't just decide something and then speak it into existence.
And why is that, Sheila?
This is city government. There are processes.
Yes, processes.
You know, I don't understand. If he can't just say things and it'll happen because he's the mayor, then why didn't you tell him that when he filled that hole back in episode 2? Why do you just keep switching the rules around like this? And also, Fisk doesn't seem to know how things work, that he has to be told by his assistant on how things work. This is kind of disrespectful to Fisk, because he's a smart guy who should know how these things work. Remember how smart he was in the original show and how he was able to bend the law in his favor? So he should have a pretty good understanding on how things work. Yet Fisk's IQ has not only been lowered, but he looks like a confused child. Almost as if he's not infused into doing the important things. But like, if that's the case, then why did he decide to be the mayor in the first place? Is it really just for the anti-vigilante campaign? Heck, if he really wanted to do that, then why didn't he force one of the other guys who were running for mayor to run an anti-vigilante campaign? You're probably gonna be like, oh, but he doesn't want to be evil. Yeah, but like, he keeps contradicting himself on what he wants to do. So why didn't he just do that? Why is he the mayor? You cannot be serious. Even so, did he really say something wrong here? I mean, he said he wants to do this plan he has here, but whatever, I guess. So Leroy is here and Matt tells him that he has 10 days of jail time, which is the best thing he could have done. But Leroy is still not happy about it and starts ranting about how the system is flawed.
You just don't get it, do you? This shit never ends. Look, I've been jerked around by the system my whole life. Last time I got 30 days, I missed my SSI appointment and they cut my benefits. Bad enough trying to live on food stamps, but when they cut it, then you gotta start eating throwaway crap from supermarket dumpsters. And yeah, just once, I want a dessert. Something that don't taste like crap, something that tastes real good. So why not get the caramel corn? I like that shit and it tastes good. They're willing to spend 5 times more to lock me up than they're willing to spend to feed me. And you come in here and tell me that that's a gift? That I should thank you?
That's a cool story, bro. But the reason you're in here is because you kept doing crime and extended your jail time. You're here because you're stupid enough to steal 5 boxes of caramel corn. If you were really that hungry, you could have gone to like a soup kitchen or something. Are there no like homeless shelters in New York where you can eat actual food? I mean, wasn't Feast a thing in No Way Home? Spider-Man would definitely want to promote it. So what's the dude even complaining about? He complains about how the system spends money to keep him locked and to feed him. Heck, I mean, if he really wanted something sweet, then why didn't he steal like a candy bar or something? You know, something less conspicuous? Like, what did you think was going to happen by stealing 5 boxes of caramel corn? The show doesn't even attempt to like give some kind of solution to anything and Matt just agrees with him. Like, this is supposed to be like some learning moment for Matt, but it doesn't even make any sense. Matt did the best he could to shorten his jail time. He said he spent 30 days in jail, missing an appointment and losing his SSI, but that's because he committed other crimes, which is what caused him to have 30 days. And he just demands to be let go on probation? Like, do they expect me to feel sympathy for this moron over here who has been nothing but rude this entire time? You cannot be serious. And that's the whole Leroy subplot, by the way. We wasted like so much time on this pointless subplot. This episode is like 50 minutes long, by the way, and this is what we got. Absolutely nothing. Then we cut to like this weird scene where Fisk is like in a middle school where the kids sing "We Built the City" like really badly. Like it's obviously supposed to be this funny scene of, oh look, Fisk is sitting here there listening to the terrible singing and does the greatest GIF image ever. Stuff like this once again makes me believe that the show was originally supposed to be more of a comedy. I mean, in general, it's just a weird tonal shift, how we go from this talk about how flawed the system is to this comedic moment.
He's screwed up.
Leaks happen.
Not in my administration, it doesn't.
Oh, well, I guess he forgot how his criminal organization got crippled thanks to Hoffman and Nadeem. Twice. It's lines like this that should be put the fault onto the people who did the overhaul.
I want an all-hands meeting, now! Where am I?
So after Fisk finds out that this thing he was doing was leaked, he yells at everyone in the office for it, which also feels out of character for Fisk because normally he tries to keep himself composed during heated situations until he's alone or with people he can trust. Heck, I mean, Karen had to really make him angry until he snapped and was almost about to attack her. So Wesley too comes forth and tells him that it was him who leaked it. And despite him telling Fisk that he's gonna resign over his mistake, Fisk still wants to keep Daniel for some reason, because he's loyal, I guess. But this is also not in character for Fisk, because you know what else Fisk likes as well? Competence. Fisk wouldn't tolerate incompetence. This is why he loved Wesley and saw him as a close friend, because he was competent and knew what Fisk would have wanted. Wesley also understood Fisk's needs very deeply and things he would want before he even asked that of him. Now, Wesley wasn't like developed and we didn't like know much about him, but we knew enough about him and what we can get from his behavior and what he does. I don't care about Buck or Daniel because we know nothing about the relationship to Fisk. It's great storytelling without spelling it out. I was shocked when Karen killed Wesley because I cared about this character and knew enough about him. Even Fisk kept talking about how much Wesley means to him and hated Karen for killing him. So it's bizarre for Fisk to even keep Daniel around, especially when he was so heated over this leak.
I'm not good at a lot of memory related things. It's really, really bad.
So Matt goes to the exact same place where Hector got shot and is looking for the bullet casing. So he thinks that it might have rolled down the street somewhere. So he uses this conveniently placed glass bottle and knocks it over so it can roll down. So it rolls down the sewer drain, and this is where he hears the bullet casing to be because the bottle so happened to touch it. But like, come on, out of all the places this bullet could have rolled down, it so happened to be in this one spot. It didn't even roll all the way down, it happened to stop right there. But like, how can you even conclude this with the bottle when all it could have been is a coincidence that it fell down there, because things rolling down paths don't have like a predetermined location they could roll down. So it's extremely convenient for Matt that this bottle just so happens to roll down the exact same place where the bullet casing also happened to roll down. You cannot be serious. So Matt goes down to like some secret hideout where Frank is hiding in. Like he just knows where he is, I guess. I don't understand. Like if he's supposed to be against vigilantism and especially killing, then why didn't he go after Frank like a long time ago? I mean, I don't know. Even if he wasn't against vigilantism, he would still be against killing like Frank does. Yes, I know at the end of season 2 they were working together, but that was only a temporary thing because they had to stop the hand. Matt still doesn't condone him killing people. So anyways, the reason Matt goes to visit Frank is because the bullet casing had his logo on it. How did you know it has his logo on it? He's blind. Or am I supposed to believe that he felt the shape of the logo on the bullet casing? The casing is like really small and it would not be enough to identify it in any tangible way.
You know, you could use all this to be a service.
You prance around the city in a Halloween costume, beating the snot out of bad guys. Hey, thank you for your service.
I mean, you could help people, you could save lives.
I don't understand. Did Matt just forget who the Punisher is? Because asking him to go out there is asking him to go and kill people, which is what Frank does to help the innocent, killing bad guys, which is what you are against.
I was downrange, Red. Look at what it got me.
What does that mean? What have you been doing down here? Why are you down here? Have you been down here this whole time? Frank doesn't care about his reputation or anything. He's fully aware of what he's doing and that the people hate him. That just seems weirdly out of character for Frank.
So you tell me, what's going on, buddy? What are you doing down here? Day after day, just hiding out.
I ain't hiding from shit. You walked in that door. Your next kill? You goddamn right.
Great, how's that working?
Oh, so you were planning your next kill? Is that really what you were doing down here? Or was that just a joke? Because once again, if he's actually planning on killing someone, then Matt should be going after him. Why would Matt even go to Frank and ask him to do good? Like heck, why wouldn't this just be the point where Matt returns to being Daredevil? Corrupt cops got away with the death of a beloved innocent man who was the pillar of his community, and the law can't give justice for that man. This is so similar to the original breaking point that caused him to become Daredevil with the little girl. This is worse when you remember that Matt is supposed to really relate to Hector. This is also out of character for Frank. So he's still trying to convince Matt that he should be killing, which doesn't make sense considering not only did it fail in season 2, but he went through it learning that Matt is actually a decent guy, way better than him.
I don't think you came here for my help. See, I think you want my permission. You won't get your hands on somebody, huh? You're scared about what that means. And I can see it on you, I can smell it on you, it's all over you. And you come at me with that horse shit about saving lives. How about that friend of yours? You save his life.
It's not about him.
Then say his name.
It's not about him.
Ah, for Christ's sake, say his name. You hate yourself. He's eating you up because you ain't done a goddamn thing about it.
It's also off when you take his own show into account. So basically there was this girl named Amy who at one point had a gun and shot someone and started to slowly die on the ground, which traumatized Amy. Frank saw this and quickly reassured to her that she didn't kill anyone by instantly killing the guy so that she doesn't feel guilty about it.
I killed him. I killed him.
Yeah, I need to go. Alright, here's your stuff, okay?
Frank knows how hard it can be for someone to kill, so for him to want to convince Matt again to start killing is just out of character at this point.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
Especially weaponizing Foggy's death by using him as a reason to start killing. I don't think Frank would do such a thing as well, considering he knows how it is when you mention a dead loved one, considering his family is dead. The point is that he puts it onto himself, not others. He knows Matt is a good guy. This whole conversation doesn't even make any sense. The whole reason he went to Frank is because a corrupt cop killed Hector, but Foggy's death has nothing to do with a corrupt cop killing him. It was Bullseye who did it. The conversation is about how he thinks Matt didn't go far enough, but like he did. Well, technically not, because he's still alive, but like, you know, he was intending on killing him. Now, here is the thing. I said that Foggy was supposed to have been killed by a corrupt cop in the original version of the show, which would actually be in line with this conversation they're having. But since, you know, this was changed to Bullseye, this conversation makes less sense. What's even funnier is that I heard that John Bernthal had said that he wasn't part of the original version of Born Again, but came back when the overhaul happened, because apparently he wasn't happy with the original version. But not only was it announced that he would return as the Punisher prior to the overhaul, the conversation they have is also in line with what was supposed to be in the original cut. Not just that, but there is a part in the conversation that's obviously ADR. You can clearly hear the difference in sound quality when he talks about Bullseye, especially with headphones.
Christ! So what now? Every day Bullseye goes to the chow hall, eats his slop. You know he gets to breathe the same air that you breathe.
So it's clear that this scene was part of the original cut, and John was lying. I don't necessarily blame him for that, because, you know, that's what actors do a lot in order to not only sell the show, but also keep their jobs and whatever. Not everyone is Mark Hamill for The Last Jedi. I get why this scene exists. They wanted to like bring back the energy of those two from season 2, but it doesn't work when all you do is ignore stuff that happened and assassinate the characters. It's just a shallow way to try to copy something without understanding what made it good to begin with. So like what, Shane just decides to do nothing against the corrupt cops that are using his name?
You want to go out there on the street, have at it. But I do not have time for your candy-ass hero shit.
That have been killing innocent people like Hector? You cannot be serious. I mean, if Matt decided to be Daredevil at this point, he could have been interrogating the Punisher cops because he believes it was one of them who did it. It would not be hard for him to stay across a rooftop or simply be mad at a police station to listen in on cop conversations. And that was pretty much episode 4. I mean, there was another scene with the Fisks and Heather, but I don't have much to say about them really. So a large portion of this episode was just a waste of time really. Not much of the story or characters have progressed. We have this Leroy subplot and only like the last few minutes with Frank that was sort of relevant, I guess. And speaking of pointless, we now have to talk about episode 5, which is largely considered to be a filler episode. So basically what happens in this episode is Matt goes to a bank, there's a bank robbery, and Matt stops the bank robbery, and that's all that happens really. But it doesn't mean there isn't anything to talk about. First few minutes are fine. We meet Yusuf Khan, who's the father of Miss Marvel, and we even get a cute little Funko Pop of her, so that's nice. So these guys are starting a bank robbery because they need to pay the 1.8 to Luca.
Kirsten, call 911.
For what, Matt? Matt? Wanna elaborate? No? It's fine, she doesn't need to know what is going on or anything.
Good. Got it. Great. Good.
So Matt just walks in. So they just happened to forget to lock that door, I guess? Like seriously, this is how you're doing it? Like what the heck is Matt even doing here? Why is he allowing himself to get captured? Which not only limits his options but also makes the bad guys see your face and learn your name. The simplest fix to that was that the bank robbers arrived while Matt was still in the building. He could have been in the bathroom or something and hearing the guys enter the building and decided to call Kirsten immediately to tell her about the situation. He could even call someone in to check and then take him out at least. Take them all out one by one. So the robbers are looking for the bank manager, but it just so happened that he's not around at this hour. Wow, how incredibly unlucky that the time they decided to rob the bank, the guy they need isn't here. So Yusuf Khan tells them he's not here and Green Mask Guy asks him if he can open the bank vault. And he lies to them that he can open it. I think it's odd that only one guy has access to the bank vault, considering like what if the manager isn't here? Which is like right now. We even get to see Detective Kim again. You know her. She was like in episode 1 and then was irrelevant for the rest of the show up until now. I don't really have anything to say here really. She's negotiating with him throughout it. He even requests her to tell him a joke and she makes a lame joke. Like this whole thing is just here to fill up time because otherwise the episode wouldn't be like 35 minutes. So she's asking him to release 2 hostages as a sign of good faith if she's gonna give him the thing he wants. So they get this woman and Matt. She's being like, let my husband go, and Matt is like, let her husband take my place. And after some conversation they have, he decides to let Matt stay because he finds him interesting. But like, what was Matt's plan if he didn't decide to do that? Especially when Matt is a blind man, he doesn't really need him around. It's not like he can tell the police what he saw. This whole entire thing relies on luck. I guess Matt read the script and knows this is an inconsequential story where everyone lives at the end. So this guy tells Matt that there's no cash in the vault and the lady is like, they're after diamonds. So Matt tells the guy that he has to go use the bathroom and he brings him to the stairwell and he starts beating him up, which once again he compromises his identity. This wouldn't have happened if he was smart about it by finding something to cover his face and entered the building a different way. And Matt doesn't even decide to pick up the mask and cover his face to confront the other guy and hides his identity from Yusuf, despite the fact he takes off the red mask from that guy and uses it later on when he's outside to stop a different guy, but doesn't decide to use it here for some reason. And Matt even decides to open the vault right in front of him? You cannot be serious. This is a minor thing, but in the original show they established that the person has to be quiet so that Matt can concentrate.
Wait, you can do that?
Not if you keep talking, I can't.
But here, Yusuf Khan is just constantly talking, so that's a thing I noticed. And not just that, but banks have cameras like everywhere. What was his plan if they decided to look at the footage? What was his plan if one of the guys during interrogation tells them a blind guy called Murdoch beat them up? If Officer Powell finds out that a blind guy beat them up at a bank, then he can piece it together that it's Matt Murdoch who's behind it. Meaning they'll know he's Daredevil, meaning Matt's identity is thrown out the window.
Exactly what kind of a lawyer are you?
A really good one.
You need to stop using this stupid excuse every time you compromise your identity. It's not gonna help you when all you do is give up the fact that you're not an ordinary blind man. So Matt and Yusuf find the thing they're looking for, which is this yellow diamond, and Matt continues to be stupid and confronts the robbers with the diamond, further confirming that he's not an ordinary blind man. You cannot be serious. He gives him the diamond while at the same time the SWAT team goes in, and it also turns out the woman from earlier was in on it the whole time.
Hold it.
Hold it.
Who's that? I need to see the medic.
This guy was a hostage. He's with us.
Bottom of the steps.
Thank you, sir.
Seriously? So they just let Matt walk out despite the fact that he said he needs a medic? Wow, how lucky for Matt that no one is escorting him and completely ignores his existence so that he can go after the Irish guy. Now, regarding the cameras I mentioned earlier, I'm aware that they shut down the power at the beginning, but banks would have emergency power if something like that would happen for obvious reasons. Also, the SWAT team should have body cams, so if they last saw Matt leave the building, then it's still suspicious that he just left. Cause if they arrested the Irish guy Matt beat up, then they'd see that he doesn't have the diamond anymore. But like the next day, it's in Yusuf's bowl of candy. It's not like they knew about the woman who was in on it that left. For all they know is that the masked men were after the diamond, and Yusuf knew that the person who had it before any of them was Matt. So they didn't know where the diamond was, and the next day Matt showed up with the stolen diamond and put it in the candy bowl that Yusuf had. Did Yusuf not find it incredibly suspicious that after Matt went away that the diamond was also gone? He should have thought that maybe Matt was in on it as well and that he faked this whole blindness thing. Hold on, that's another thing. How did the woman leave the building if the SWAT officer wanted everyone to stay inside? Cause there are no other exits that we know of. It's just off-screen magic. So he puts on the mask and beats the guy up. It feels like they kinda nerfed Matt cause the guy lands a few attacks on Matt despite the fact that it's just one dude. But he still wins in the end, so whatever. And it so happened that instead of giving them the diamond, Matt somehow swapped it with a piece of candy. Wow, how lucky that the color of the candy matches with the color of the diamond. And the next day, Matt returned with the diamond to Yusuf, and that was episode 5. So what was accomplished exactly? Now we're on episode 6, and this is where the whole Muse plot begins. So basically Muse is this graffiti artist who also goes around killing people, and one of his graffitis we see at the beginning is this. How did Muse do this? When did he do that? How was he never caught? I can understand street level graffitis, but this is on a building really high up and huge. Muse doesn't really seem like the guy who works with others, but even if we were to assume that, that would still take a while to make. He would have to use some climbing equipment, paint it on a wall, cross from side to side, and go up and down multiple times to accurately place the paint. That alone would have to take several hours at the bare minimum, which he would easily be caught by either the residents in the building or people spotting him from rooftops. You cannot be serious. So Matt is praying while the show cuts to the awful scenes from episode 1, cause you know, I need to be reminded of that atrocity. Fisk has a visit from Lucas and he doesn't want to pay the other guy the 1.8, while Matt is in his apartment with Heather, and she talks with Matt about her new book, which is about vigilantes, because apparently that's a very original and new thing that we need to learn about. It's not like the idea of wearing the mask has already been explored in the original show. But not just that, but like, I would think that since this is the world of the MCU, the concept of exploring why someone is a vigilante wearing a mask wouldn't really be a new concept in the first place. So pretty much this book gives us nothing new that we didn't really learn already. This rings really hollow so far in this universe. I think Heather is just stupid, or she lived under a rock for all those years. Like, we're at a point where characters like Peter and Kate were around to see the events of the Avengers and become adults.
You have experience with those people, don't you?
With animals?
Vigilantes. You've represented a few, right?
Ooh, what are you researching me now?
So Heather is aware that Matt represented a few vigilantes in the past, but somehow doesn't really seem to know that Matt had a case in Fisk's arrest.
Maybe you would consider setting me up with someone like, I don't know, Frank Castle?
I'm sorry, but didn't you just say you are researching masked vigilantes?
Vigilantes. Why we revere the mask.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Punisher being considered a vigilante in the public eyes aside, Frank Castle is not a masked vigilante. When did we ever see Frank wear a mask? He's fully aware of the things he does and the public hates him. She has no reason to want to interview him. Why would she think that Matt has any connections to the Punisher when not only did Matt barely show up to his trial, but also he only represented him like once a long time ago?
Okay, how about Daredevil? You've worked with him, right?
Wait, what? When did Matt ever... work with Daredevil. There was never a case in the original show where he was quote-unquote working together with him. I even asked some people about it and they told me that Matt never worked together with Daredevil in any of the other Disney shows. So this is just something random the show throws in once again without taking the past works into account. She doesn't even ask about Karen, despite the fact she literally got into the crossfire with Daredevil and was saved by him 3 times. So this guy comes into Fisk's office to tell him that he can't easily get rid of the mural that Muse made because it's mixed with some chemical and it turns out it's made of human blood. Oh no, it sounds like a job for Commissioner Gallo. Remember Gallo? The guy who said he was gonna take down Fisk? Remember that guy? How he was just gone from the story after episode 2? Yeah, that guy. So Matt is in his office with irrelevant character number 43 and Hector's niece comes in to talk with Matt. She mentions to him that Hector was investigating something, which is the Muse thing he was working on. I guess she tells Matt about it because he's the only person she can trust. You know, despite the fact, yeah.
But what do you want me to do about it?
How about literally anything, Mr. Murdoch? Attorney at law, big fancy office, here to help the little guy, right?
What do you expect Matt to do about it? He's a blind guy. Was she expecting that he would get Cherry involved in this or something? I don't even know if she knows who Cherry is.
Gathered at least 5 unique DNA profiles for each mural, and in 5 DNA profiles per mural, we estimate at least 60 victims.
60 victims? Oh my god, that's almost as much as Loki killed in like 2 days. This is a huge deal. Gee, I wonder where the superheroes are. Oh, wait a minute, they're not here. Really? No one is on this case? Not Spider-Man or Kate Bishop or heck, maybe even Frank? I guess they all just don't care. So these 2 women approach Muse and ask for a picture because he's a well-known artist and he kidnaps them. Kinda surprised how he's able to get both of them at once without anyone finding out about it. I guess he just kidnaps and kills anyone who just so happens to approach him. I don't get it. How is Muse this well-known artist that even 2 women approach him to ask for a picture when he does stuff like this? Like, I thought he did this stuff in secret. How else was he able to kill 60 people and get away with it for so long? People are aware that people have been disappearing. Like, there's no way he killed 60 people for so long and no one reported them being missing. Like, this couldn't have been the first time they tried to wash away one of Muse's murals. So Fisk is at this gathering with all these rich people, which, you know, is a similar thing he did before in season 1. Vanessa needed to teach Fisk how to influence people for some reason, which is once again not in line to how Fisk was in the original show, because he has been shown to be a smooth talker who can easily influence and manipulate people. I have nothing really to say about this scene because nothing interesting happens. Aside from the swordsman appearing, I guess, who appeared in Hawkeye. Again, I never watched Hawkeye, so I don't care. So anyway, Cherry meets up with Matt in the office and tells him about the Muse case. How did Cherry get this info when Fisk clearly said that no one outside of the office should know about it?
Not a single word leaves this room.
I guess one of them told him for some reason.
I got a call from a guy at the precinct. Said there's a serial killer out there. They're going through a DEFCON scenario.
Why would a guy at the precinct tell Cherry, who is no longer a cop and can't do anything about the Muse case, which was supposed to be a secret? The only thing I can think of is to like warn him, but that's about all I can think of. And the reason he tells Matt about it is because he believes he's gonna hear about it anyways, so it's best if he's the one who tells him. But Matt would be able to listen to lots of crimes happening around the city due to his super hearing. What makes Muse so different? Especially since Matt hasn't been Daredevil for a while. I don't know why he would expect that this would suddenly make him want to be Daredevil.
You gotta be straight with me, buddy. You gotta let this one go.
Just let the police do their jobs.
I'm sorry, but why would he say that? Is he implying that Matt has been Daredevil from time to time? Because that can't be, because the show is telling us that he hasn't been Daredevil for like a year, even ignoring someone's cry for help in episode 1. Or is he saying that based on what he did in episode 5? Because like, what else was Matt supposed to do? Just let them die?
Maybe.
Actually, I think he's worse than Pa Kent in Man of Steel, because at least he does believe Clark should use his abilities when he gets older and doesn't straight up say, yeah, yeah, screw him. Especially his reaction to saving a child later on. Pa Kent was also more comforting to Clark in that scene than Cherry was for Matt. We've reached a point where I'm saying Man of Steel is more reasonable. You cannot be serious. So Fisk is gathering together the Punisher cops to create a special task force to catch Muse. So because there's a serial killer on the loose, you're creating a special task force to catch the guy, despite the fact that's what normal cops do anyways? Well, the thing is, the reason he creates them is because they're an anti-vigilante task force. But I don't get it. He uses Muse as an example as to why he needs to create them, when Muse isn't a vigilante. He's a serial killer.
Gallo has told you that we have a serial killer in our midst. Consider yourself founding members of my anti-vigilante task force.
Why didn't Fisk use any of the actual vigilantes out there as an example to justify why they need to get rid of them? Do any of these cops have a bad experience with vigilante? Like, obviously Hector is one of them, but Fisk doesn't mention that to them. Instead of telling Powell about the White Tiger, he asks this Randy to talk about his past experience with a criminal. It's not even a vigilante. Could you not have come up with any examples of bad experiences with vigilantes with these cops? This guy talks about how he used special means to stop a criminal, as if he cares about stopping criminals, when once again they just get away with killing some kid later on by saying he's the vigilante. So clearly they don't care. Again, what's the point of them being Punisher cops if they don't even act like the Punisher? What's going on? So Hector's niece... Wait, hold on. Angela, her name is Angela, goes in this tunnel to investigate. Matt is in his apartment investigating on his laptop. So the Ayala home is calling Matt to tell him that Angela hasn't come home yet.
Saw that. It's okay. Just stay where you are.
It's kind of rude of Matt to just tell her nothing and then hang up. So this is the time where he decides to be Daredevil now, and it looks really bad as usual. But hold on a second, why does he decide to use his standard Daredevil suit to go and save Angela? The reason I'm asking this is because the first episode, Fisk clearly says that if he goes back to being Daredevil, then there will be consequences. So Matt puts himself under Fisk's radar. If he was smart, then he would have put together a homemade suit to go after Muse. Heck, it doesn't even have to look like the old one. Just something quick that no one will immediately recognize that he's Daredevil, so that Fisk doesn't find out about it. Would have probably been good if he still kept the mask from episode 5, but even if we are to assume he got rid of it, he would still be able to quickly throw together something, cause again, he did the same thing in season 3. You're telling me he's not able of quickly putting something together in his own home? So Muse captured Angela and is about to drain her blood, while at the same time it cuts to Fisk going down his basement to have a fight with Adam. They keep cutting back and forward between Daredevil and Muse and Fisk and Adam to have like this parallel going on of like, oh, they're going back to their own ways, their true selves or something stupid like that, which I think is antithetical to the show's original themes. If Fisk is just going back to being a bad guy, this ruins the whole theme of redemption. So Matt comes in to fight Muse, and this fight scene is so confusing and bad. First of all, I think Matt should easily be able to beat this guy considering he's just a normal guy, but somehow Muse is putting up a decent fight with Daredevil for some reason. Well, I did actually make a wiki search on Muse to see if there's any different with him in the comics, and surprisingly I learned that he's an inhuman entity that has super speed and super strength that Matt can't just easily detect. So yeah, I can buy that he would be a powerful foe against Daredevil in the comics reading all that, but once again, he's just a normal guy in the show. There was no established superpowers that he has. I love how Matt just stupidly walks towards him in this part and just tanks a couple of hits. Like, why is he just taking them? And then he just starts yelling like he's aura farming or something. Surprisingly, Muse is just tanking so many blows from Matt. Like, does he have super durability or something? Again, we don't know because they haven't established any superpowers of him. So I have to assume that he's just a normal guy. So he knocks out Muse and tries to save Angela. During this, Muse quickly wakes up and somehow escapes. Like, did did Matt not hear that he woke up and escaped? I guess his senses just went on vacation. So Fisk learns that Angela has found the location of Muse's hideout and that Daredevil is back. Good job, Matt.
Says she actually escaped from Muse.
She's still alive.
She lost a lot.
Okay, I did not edit the audio. This is just what happens in the episode. It just cuts off before he can finish saying alive.
You know, and sometimes this all feels, to me, feels like fake.
Yeah, you said it, Matt. This whole thing feels fake.
I told you to stay out of it.
What was I supposed to do? The cops were dicking around getting nowhere. I found Muse in one night. 60 dead. Would have been one more if Daredevil hadn't shown up. And he's still out there. If I can figure out his pattern, I can figure out where he's gonna strike next. So do me a favor. Talk to your contacts.
No. If you want to blow up your life again, you go ahead. You're on your own.
So Matt shouldn't have saved the little girl who was about to get her blood drained by a lunatic? Okay, Cherry, sure.
Talking about a man who single-handedly destroyed 10 years of business infrastructure. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so expose Matt's identity. You have no reason to keep it a secret at this point when you're planning to go after him again.
Why the hell does he want to be mayor?
That's a good question, Luca. No reason at all. So Luca is getting like really mad with Vanessa and doesn't want to pay up whatever he owes them. Seriously, I just don't care. It's not like Luca is like some interesting character. He's just criminal guy and that's it. Anyways, Muse goes to visit Heather for a therapy session. Now I need to remind you all that we learned about this guy in episode 2, and so far we didn't have a single therapy session with him and Heather. All of that time could have been spent developing his thoughts and motives, but no, we have to rush everything in the show and put in all this unnecessary crap, so the therapy session has been pushed to episode 7. You cannot be serious. So Detective Kim finds out that his name is Bastion Cooper and that he's likely Muse due to a piece of fabric she found that only like 2 stores sell where only 12 people have been shopping. Okay, so now we know that his name is Bastion Cooper. So what else are we gonna learn about this guy?
Did I ever tell you I used to compete in Taekwondo?
No? Did you enjoy it?
I hated it. My parents always wanted an athlete in the family.
So you competed in Taekwondo?
I competed in Taekwondo because they made me, and it was awful, but they wouldn't let me quit. In the end, I learned a lot from Coach Lee.
Do you still compete in Taekwondo?
God, no.
Okay, so he learned Taekwondo and he didn't like it.
And all I ever wanted to be was an artist, to be the person I am now, and that's all thanks to you.
I'm just the conduit.
No, you're the key. Don't you see that? I mean, you've unlocked something in me, Dr. Glenn. So something I didn't know was missing. You've allowed my creativity to flourish, to soar. The heights I never even imagined.
What the heck did Heather do? We have like only 1 therapy session with them and now all of a sudden she's the key? The key to what? To him becoming an artist? Is he saying Heather did something that made him into an artist? He's being extremely vague here, and I have no clue as to what he's talking about exactly. It's hard to really figure out what his motivation is. We should have been given like a pivotal moment in his life that explains why he became a serial killer. Yet all we know is that his parents were a bit tough on him and he has been doing Taekwondo for 3 months.
3 months after Coach Lee started training Bastion, his body showed up on the estate.
So all this seems to be is just generic villain dialogue because he's crazy. You know, all this seems to me is that he became a serial killer because he doesn't like Taekwondo. I don't know, that's all we are given really. Like, I know I'm joking when I say he became evil because he doesn't like Taekwondo, but since that's all we know about him, that's what it kinda reads as. He's evil because he hates Taekwondo. So does that explain why he kept up with Daredevil in episode 6? I thought Kim said he was doing Taekwondo for only 3 months. That isn't really enough to be like some expert martial artist. And Matt should be far more experienced than he is considering that he has super senses. But even then, he said he hated doing Taekwondo, so it's not really believable that he would continue to learn more about it when he disliked it that much he killed his teacher and clearly said he stopped doing it.
The city is finally starting to see me for who I really am.
What do you mean? Aren't you already a well-known artist? Isn't that what you wanted to be? What is he talking about? What is his true self? What is anything? What is going on? Look, he's so crazy he takes his nosebleed and starts painting with it. I'm so scared. So Heather realizes he's a psycho and tries to escape, but Muse knocks her out. So Matt goes to Muse's lair, which is now an active crime scene. Okay, so Matt still decided to use his Daredevil suit, despite the fact that he could have used a different suit and make it seem like Angela misremembered the events or something. There's a guy in She-Hulk that makes costumes for vigilantes, so why didn't Matt decide to go to that guy and ask him to make a new suit that doesn't look like Daredevil? Again, he puts himself under Fisk's radar and should know he will be going after him. He finds the paintings that Muse did and takes off his gloves to feel the ink on it, I guess? Okay, so are you telling me Matt is able to read what is on the paper by touching the ink on the paper? Now, I know that this is an ability Matt has in the comics, but I don't recall a single time in the original show where Matt was able to do that. He still needed to read Braille. He wasn't able to read words by touching it with his hands. But even then, even if we accept the idea that he is able to do that, that doesn't mean he can identify someone's face from a painting, because he touches one of the pictures and somehow confirms that it's Heather? How? Just because it's a painting of her doesn't automatically mean Matt should be able to identify it. Or is the show telling me that the reason Matt was able to figure out it's Heather is because her skin is as rough as paper? It's a huge issue because that's how he's able to get to her office in time to save her. You cannot be serious. So Muse is about to kill Heather right there in her office. So that's it? He's just gonna kill her? That's what this whole thing is about? What makes Heather so special compared to like all the other people that he kills? It feels like it's just there so that Matt's girlfriend can be in trouble in some way and Daredevil has to come and save her. So Matt comes in to fight Muse with the anti-vigilante task force arriving shortly after. And once again Matt is just struggling to take out Muse despite the fact he's more experienced than him. But during the fight, Heather was able to get a gun and kills Muse. Yes, that's right. Muse is dead. We learn nothing about this character. There was no development, there was no unique story going on with him, and he just dies. So what was the point of spending 2 whole episodes on this whole Muse case exactly? This is another character that could have had more going on, but is just immediately wasted. I'm sure Muse fans are happy that he's just another waste of a character just to prop up Fisk. You can't just keep adding in characters in your show if you don't even want to use them. I really hate it in media when they take characters that could have potentially been like really interesting but just end up being one-dimensional bad guys that are either poorly developed or just die immediately. The original show did like such a great job developing the villains. Well, minus Nobu, I guess. Barely anything was accomplished in episode 7 compared to the other episodes, which gave me a bit less to work with. So BB goes to Fisk's office to meet up with Wesley 2 again, and he demands that BB writes a report that the vigilante task force took down Muse and not Daredevil, due to her tricking him into spilling the beans on the whole garbage thing. Daniel is acting like a completely different character here, acting more malicious towards BB with a more monotone voice, and I'm just like, did we like skip a few scenes or something? Cause once again, there was no development going on with Daniel throughout the entire show that showed us how he changed. He just changed his personality off screen. So Heather is in the hospital and Matt came to visit her. She puts on the news where Fisk announces that his anti-vigilante task force have officially taken down Muse. Like, once again, Muse isn't a vigilante. Why does he use him as an example? Vanessa gave Luca Fisk's location and he comes in to assassinate him, but then Wesley 1 shoots him first. So I guess that's it for Luca as well. Another waste of a character. Well, this is it, folks. The last 2 episodes that have been created after the overhaul happened. Now, a lot of the consensus is that the overhaul episodes are better than the other episodes, which I heavily disagree with, because I believe the overhaul episodes are actually far worse than what we've seen throughout the show by far. I mean, those first 15 minutes in episode 1 is already worse than all the other episodes that weren't part of the reshoots. But now it's gonna get even worse, because the stuff they came up with for episode 8 and 9 destroys so much about the original show and its own universe. It's complete nonsense. So here we have Dex once again. Hey, remember Dex? Remember how he was a thing in episode 1 and then he was absent for the rest of the show? Heck, I almost forgot he existed because he was just not relevant at all until now. I mean, he was mentioned a couple of times, yeah, but the show had nothing to do with him. Yeah, I get it, it's an overhaul episode, but it doesn't change the fact how poorly paced the show is. Episode 8 and 9 feels like it's almost as if everything after episode 1 was just filler, and only now the show is moving along with the relevant stuff. You cannot be serious. Matt and Heather are at his apartment just chilling out, and we get to learn more about Heather's perspective on the whole Muse thing that happened. She killed a person. That's really hard.
I think I'm finally starting to understand how that violence, it just transfers from Daredevil to Muse to me.
Not sure you can put Muse and Daredevil in the same category.
I'm not so sure that you can't. There are just these underdeveloped boys hiding behind masks, trying to make it look like something more sophisticated.
I'm sorry, are we still at this bit where the show pretends as if Muse is in the same category as other masked vigilantes that exist in the MCU?
I think they're completely different animals.
You weren't there, Matt.
No, I know, I'm just saying that Muse tried to kill you and Daredevil saved you.
I saved me. They were both out there for themselves.
Excuse me? Daredevil came in to try and save you from Muse trying to kill you. If Daredevil didn't arrive in time, he would have killed you. Is she just not aware that Daredevil has a history of being a hero along all the other vigilantes in the MCU? Remember, she's writing this book about masked vigilantes, but it's as if she doesn't understand how the superheroes in the MCU work. It's made even worse when Wesley 1 comes in to visit his apartment to give Heather an invitation to Fisk's party. Heather somehow doesn't think it's weird that Wesley 1 knew that she was staying at Matt's place, even when Matt calls him out for it.
How do you know that man? Heather, I'm serious. How do you know
You want to
him?
watch your tone?
Please don't tell me Fisk is a client.
I'm not going to answer that, Matt.
No, you don't understand, all right? If he's in your life, he is in our life.
He's the mayor. He's in everybody's life.
You're not seriously considering going, are you?
Why wouldn't I?
Because he is trying to co-opt your story. He wants to use your trauma to boost his narrative.
If his narrative is that vigilantes are dangerous, then he's
Heather,
got my vote.
you must see he's trying to use you.
I'm sorry, I'm confused here. She acts like as if she's in favor of Fisk here, which once again makes it seem like she has no idea who he is and pretends as if everything is fine. Isn't that the same guy that you asked Vanessa if she felt safe with him? Heck, like how I mentioned previously, how is she aware that Matt was on the Punisher case, but isn't aware that his law firm had a hand in Fisk's arrest and was proven guilty on 5 RICO counts?
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
Also, why is she just fine with Fisk lying to the public about the fact that he claims his anti-vigilante task force were the ones who took out Muse, when she was the one who took him out? We have no idea as to why Heather is the way that she is, because like I said before, the big issue with this show is that they barely explore any of the characters that are supposed to be important to this show. I was almost thinking to myself that they were setting up Heather as evil who was working for Fisk the whole time, but it doesn't look like that's the case from what we've seen throughout the show, and she does genuinely care about Matt even after this scene. So is Heather just an idiot? Also, I want to note that after episode 1, Matt hasn't been thinking about or even interacted with Fisk anymore up until now. It's as if he completely forgot about his existence.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
Well, at the same time this is happening, Fisk brought Vanessa to his basement to show that he has Adam locked up in here. And it's like, I love you, Vanessa. I can't live without you. And Vanessa just kills him and both the Fisks stay together in the end. So basically we spent the entire show character assassinating both of them with this unnecessary therapy subplot, just so they revert back to how they were previously in the end and nothing new was achieved. They're just back to being evil together like how they were in season 3. You cannot be serious. So Matt is going to work and we see Kirsten again. Hey, remember Kirsten? Remember her? That character that did nothing for the whole show. So Matt learns from Kirsten that Benjamin Poindexter has been moved from protective custody to general population, and that Dex wants to talk with Matt. He also learns that the one who moved him was Fisk. So it should be clear to Matt that the likely reason he moved him is so he can get Dex killed, because you know, he was trying to kill him at the end of season 3. Fisk tells his cringe squad that the anti-task force was a success apparently, and also he wants to promote Daniel Blake to deputy mayor for communications just because of the one thing he did? Like this freaking doofus over here? You cannot be serious. Back to Matt at the office. They're with this one guy who did like bad things and Matt gets mad at him and he walks out the office and rants about how things are unfair. So Matt decides to go visit Josie's bar and Sherry somehow knew that he was going there as well. So Josie comes in with the bottle of whiskey that Matt mentioned they drink when they win a case and mentioned how this is the last thing that Foggy drank before he died, which confuses Matt considering he didn't know that Foggy was drinking that stuff when they went to Josie's bar last time. So he goes to visit Poindexter in prison to find out more about Fisk and if he was the one who hired him to take down Foggy. But he completely avoids the question. So he wants to make a deal with Matt that if he's able to get him out of prison, he will answer his questions, but Matt doesn't care about it whatsoever.
Another night in the air, I might never be able to answer that for you. Sweetheart, what do you want me to do? You want me to get you out? You want me to file an appeal?
I'm bargaining for my life here, counselor. You want to know if Fisk hired me?
I can tell you, but I need to be outside. I don't trust you for a second.
If you don't trust him, then check his heartbeat to see if he's lying. Dex is willing to give him the info he needs if he gets out of here, but Matt doesn't think to do that at all, which is out of character for Matt once again, cause he's supposed to believe in second chances and doesn't want people to get killed. But who cares at this point? It's not like he took Frank Castle's case in season 2 or anything because he believed in saving his life and giving him a second chance despite him being a violent killer. So he physically assaults Dex and then tells the guard that he started hurting himself. This blows his cover once again of being a normal blind man. So what was the point of you going to Dex if you don't even want to attempt to get any info out of him? He literally gives him a reasonable deal and is willing to cooperate. But no, I guess strategic genius Matt Murdock doesn't care whatsoever. This is the same Matt who talks with Karen about how he didn't think he had such darkness in him to kill Dex. But now he's letting Dex submit to his fate when in his mind that's essentially killing Dex as his blood is on Matt's hands. You cannot be serious. We cut to this party that Fisk is hosting and we once again see Daniel and BB interact, which I don't really care about. We also get to see this woman again talking with the swordsman.
And where is your better half author tonight?
I don't know.
I'm guessing this is implying that Fisk either killed her husband or threatened them into helping to fund for Red Hook or something. Fisk is like bringing all the rich people one by one in a room to talk to them and like threaten them, cause apparently he just has dirt on all of them somehow, like as if he's just God who can do anything in a second, which is like a misrepresentation of Fisk, cause even in the original show he had to be careful with other people. He could just easily manipulate all of them. He had to work for it. Like I'm pretty sure Madame Gao was more powerful than him. He can't just easily get dirt on everyone off screen. Back with Dex in prison, he's getting treatment by the doctor, but then he uses his tooth to attack the guard, which I think is pretty funny. But then he just gets free from his restraints. I'm sorry, but what happened to his previous restraints? You know how dangerous Dex is because of his aimbot hacks. Also, there's just one guard. Do you not remember how many guards there were previously that were escorting him to general population? So I guess they just gave up completely and decided to only have one guard around. After that, Dex somehow was able to get a police uniform and get on this bus to escape. I'm sorry, are there no security cameras in the doctor's office or the hallways? Remember how there was a camera in season 3's doctor's office? So Matt goes to the party to confront the Fisks. I'm sorry, but why do they just let him in? Remember that you're supposed to have an invitation in order to get in. I mean, yeah, Heather said that she can also bring guests, but that would be if he actually entered with Heather. I mean, the most Matt could do is ask for Heather to let him in, I guess. Even if Fisk decides to let Matt in, the most he would do is tell his guards to keep an eye on him. Considering, you know, Matt is Daredevil. Fisk has a talk with the swordsman and he knows that he is the swordsman and he warns him that he's gonna go after him or whatever, I don't care. So some guy takes a picture of Fisk and the swordsman and Fisk tells Powell to take care of him, which Gallo takes notice. So they physically assault him and then Gallo comes in to tell them to stop it, but Powell doesn't listen and continues anyways. Remember, this guy is supposed to be a well-respected commissioner, but the cops don't really seem to respect him really if they aren't even willing to listen to him. So mentioning that he was a well-respected commissioner does absolutely nothing to the story. So Bibi meets Gallo and they talk about how corrupt this whole thing is. And Gallo even mentions that Fisk was a suspect in Ben Urich's murder.
Do you know that Wilson Fisk was the main suspect in your uncle's murder?
Yeah. Why do you think I'm here?
Wait, so you are trying to take Fisk down? Then why did you help boost his campaign at the beginning? Gallo also decides to do something against Fisk now of all times. Even though at the beginning of the show he said he was gonna go after Fisk, but then hasn't been relevant at all for most of the show. And only now decides to do something about him. So now everyone starts dancing and one of the cops tells Wesley 1 that Dex escaped prison and he tells Fisk about it. And Fisk does absolutely nothing with this info. He doesn't try to ensure Vanessa's safety or protect himself. He just keeps the party going as if nothing happened. As if he just completely forgot who Bullseye is.
I'm not good at a lot of memory-related things. It's really, really bad.
So Matt steals Vanessa and confronts her about Foggy's death and pretty much tells her that he knows what she did. But I don't understand. Why would you just tell her everything you know? You're just actively making yourself more of a target. So Dex comes in ready to kill Fisk. I don't get why he would prioritize killing Fisk first when he would likely want to kill Vanessa first, considering he killed the girl he liked and he attempted to kill Vanessa first in the original show. He readies up his sniper to take him out and Matt hears him readying up and saves Fisk from getting shot. He takes one shot and then just stops going for another round for no reason. Again, need I remind you that Bullseye has God mode aimbot hacks. He's so good at shooting and throwing stuff that he could instantly take someone out. I don't even get why he would go for his chest when Fisk is known to wear body armor. If anything, he would aim for his head. Fisk should be dead.
The whole FBI corruption scandal, Agent Nadim, all that. It's why my husband was acquitted.
This is the first sentence of the episode and it ruins everything from season 3. Fisk got acquitted because of the whole FBI corruption scandal involving Agent Ray Nadim? You mean the scandal that he caused? Are you kidding me? You can't do that to Nadim. His whole testimony that he made regarding everything that happened with the FBI is the reason why Fisk gets acquitted? Do you not remember that the whole point of the video Nadim made was to sacrifice himself in order to expose everything that Fisk did? It was to prevent Fisk from corrupting the FBI again. Everyone understood what was happening in the end and they all knew his game. Fisk was the one who caused the whole corruption with the FBI. Nadim recorded his dying declaration about Fisk's criminal conspiracy. It was such an amazing moment from Nadim after everything he did by playing into Fisk's hands. Foggy explained that a dying declaration would be admissible in court.
A dying declaration is exempt from the hearsay rule. The court says that a person who believes that they're dying has less incentive to lie. Therefore, anything they say is...
You're telling me this is admissible in court?
Every damn word. It's the silver bullet to take down Fisk.
So Fisk is just allowed to be free from all of his crimes and continue to be a criminal just so he ends up being mayor and can do whatever the heck he wants? So this show is basically saying that the entirety of season 3, where everyone worked so hard to try and stop Fisk, was completely pointless and means nothing. If Fisk gets acquitted, then Vanessa gets acquitted too. So Matt has absolutely no leverage over them and nothing is stopping Fisk from just exposing Matt and killing both Karen and Foggy. Why did Fisk not expose Matt after all this time? Remember, episode 1 was like, I didn't kill Foggy, I kept that promise. Like, no dude, you didn't keep anything at all. You should be rotting in prison. I'm sure his wife and kid are happy to know that he died for absolutely nothing and that the man who killed him became the mayor of New York. You cannot be serious.
It's only fair it should benefit you too.
How is that going to benefit Dex? Need I remind you that he was exposed for being the fake Daredevil who killed everyone at the Bolton and killed a priest at a church and was also responsible for attacking Fisk at a party? Dex is all like under heavy medication and has been at this mental institution or something this whole time. So why is Vanessa even visiting Dex in the first place? What is she doing there? Well, she wants to make a deal with Dex that she will release him if he he agrees to help her kill Foggy and Benny. I'm sorry, but are you actually really freaking stupid? Out of all the people you could have hired to take out Benny and Foggy, you want to ask the one guy who literally hates you and Fisk and wants to kill you more than anyone else, considering Wilson Fisk killed Julie? I get it, Dex is a very skilled shooter, but he's not the only assassin in the world you could have hired. Her visiting Dex and being the one that released him literally lets herself leave a paper trail behind that would directly be linked back to her as the woman who released Benjamin Poindexter. And no one questioned who released Dex from the mental institution? You're seriously telling me after a whole year, no one, not even Matt and Karen, wondered if Dex was hired by someone? Did they not bother to look into it in any way whatsoever? Worse too, that she would have to be on recording visiting Dex, cause she would have to walk into areas that have cameras there. You cannot be serious. Dex did not even kill Benny at the beginning of the show. He was still alive and able to call Foggy, so he only did half of his job. He's supposed to be the best one, yet he didn't even kill Benny. Benny not bringing the information he knows to Matt, Karen or Kirsten after Foggy is also a massive problem. Also, why did Vanessa not tell Dex that Matt is Daredevil and he has to look out for him when he agreed to help her? That would be like something very useful to know, considering Matt was with Foggy and Karen that night and he would expect that Matt would be going after him. Throughout the show, he doesn't seem to know at all that Matt is Daredevil. Vanessa has no reason to keep this secret from Dex. Heck, is Dex really the best one at this job? In the world of the MCU, I doubt Dex would be the only one who's an expert marksman. What about former Black Widows or something? Dex has no reason to take this job if it means the downfall of the Fisks if Foggy wins the case. He would instantly kill Vanessa right here with a pen. Like, okay, let's say he does this to get out of the institution. He has no reason to follow up on this plan of going after Foggy. Heck, if anything, he would be planning his revenge on Fisk by killing Vanessa. Dex has no reason to go and kill Foggy. Like Cherry described it as he was after them to settle an old score. But like, why? Again, the only reason he went to kill them in the original was because it was under the orders from Fisk. He has no personal beef with them. Like, even if he does want to go and kill, like, Karen at least, I don't see why he would go after Foggy, considering he only met the guy once and he only punched him once and that's it. She would not be his main priority. It would be the Fisks. Heck, later on in the show, it's shown that Foggy still has all the documents stored up somewhere. So why didn't she make sure to burn all the evidence as well? What is going on? So Matt is in the hospital with Heather and Kirsten being there too, and he explains to her about the whole Foggy situation. Now, here's something I want to note. I haven't watched Iron Fist, though Honeycomb did, and she explained to me that the show retroactively makes Iron Fist even worse. So what she told me is that Red Hook isn't some new thing in the MCU with Born Again. It was present in Iron Fist and only served as like some shipping place for the Hand that is secretly in control of Rand Industries. One of the characters, Howard, the other founder of Rand Industries, who wanted to be free from the Hand, was working with Danny to help take down the Hand, but has to comply with their demands to purchase Red Hook from them. Howard is meant to be a very intelligent person regarding funneling money to the point that he's even taking money from the company without anyone noticing, despite his status of being officially dead. He should have been aware of the massive dangerous implications around the Hand having a port if it is capable of taking over the entire city when he wants to be free of them, which includes his children. Him not talking about this with Danny or Ward, his son he's also working with, for some kind of plan instead of just saving the port once and moving on like he does is nonsensical and diverts attention from the story happening in a massive way. She also told me that by the end of Iron Fist Season 2, the gangs who were fighting over the turf settled their differences and moved on regarding the income and property. A character called Sherry Yang, one of the mob bosses, is like on good terms with Danny and Colleen and trusts them for their own protection against the other mob family in the show. So she doesn't see why she wouldn't involve Danny and Colleen if she and other families was somehow threatened to give up Red Hook. This also begs the question, how did Vanessa and Fisk know about the properties of Red Hook to even want to buy it from Rand? It doesn't explain why they would know about the Red Hook entire city properties. The only ones who knew about the land's properties are Fisk, Vanessa, and Foggy. And Foggy only knew cause he accidentally stumbled on that. So how do they know? This is literally the same problem with Spider-Man Far From Home, where that former Stark employee somehow knew about the glasses when Peter and Fury were the only ones with that knowledge.
There'll be no body cams, no due process, no warrants.
Sir, that not only goes against the operating principles of the NYPD, it's illegal.
Encouraging, Gallo! Encouraging! I want the British shut down! I want the tunnels closed!
Sir?
What the heck is going on here? Why is Fisk raging like a cartoon villain? He's literally going against the law by doing all this nonsense and going against the Constitution. Just because he's the mayor doesn't mean he can do such a thing. If anything, the public would see it as cartoonishly fascist. People wouldn't want to support Fisk anymore. This is incredibly stupid. Remember that Fisk actually cares about his public image and wouldn't just not only act like this in front of others, but not do such a massive thing. He does this in front of Gallo no less, who wants to take down Fisk because he lost his brain cells. And speaking of losing brain cells, he uses Poindexter and groups them together with other vigilantes. Do I seriously have to explain that Bullseye is not a vigilante? Fisk is like, I know there are people who aren't loyal and I want you to send them home. Which, like, if Fisk knows there are people who aren't loyal to him, then why did he hire Gallo to begin with? He was against him from the very beginning. And speaking of Gallo, he confronts Sheila about how insane this all is. He tells her what he's gonna do and expose Fisk. But like, why is he telling her all of this? Well, he explains that he thinks she's one of the only few sane people in the building. But how would you know that? It's not like they ever interacted throughout the show, and he just tells her everything. What is that really based on when she's clearly not sane if she's willing to publicly agree with Fisk about the whole thing despite the due processes? And he shouldn't trust her so blindly because he doesn't know how far the corruption goes. The only reason this scene happens is so that Sheila can expose Gallo to Fisk so that he can kidnap him later on. You cannot be serious. So he asks Wesley 1 to kill Matt in the hospital, and Matt somehow hears his footsteps and confirms that it's Wesley 1 or someone trying to kill him, which is weird because how the heck does he know who it is by just the footsteps alone? It can literally be anyone. So Fisk does some freaking Watch Dogs shit and creates a blackout throughout the entire city so he can bring in his anti-vigilante task force in order to go after vigilantes. This is insane and would bring the attention of other superheroes, both in and out of the city. Imagine being across the city and seeing the lights go out for an entire city. Like, Fisk does seriously not account for other superheroes at all. Heck, what if the Sorcerers take notice and want to know what the heck is going on? Fisk is literally picking a fight with the Sorcerers. The Avengers have advanced super tech that could easily take down Fisk. Fisk should be losing control of the whole situation because his forces will not be able to cover the entire city, and this big event will force the NYPD and FBI to act, which can only help expose Fisk. Matt somehow makes it all the way back to his apartment with Frank just waiting for him there. The plan was to save Matt according to what was told later on, but like, why would Frank wait for him at his apartment if he should know that Matt is at a hospital? The simplest fix could have been that Frank came into the hospital to save Matt and bring him somewhere safe. Matt should not have been able to beat the task force there. So enjoy Matt and Frank's interactions, because all it is just them being like, you smell bad. No, you smell bad. So the task force are on their way to Matt's apartment, and Matt quickly gets in his Daredevil suit to fight all of them. And Frank obviously tries to kill all of them, and Matt just does nothing to stop him from doing this because he's clearly against him killing people. Remember how in season 2 he was able to stop Frank from killing these guys? So we find out that the guy who killed Hector in episode 3 was this guy all along, and the way they determined that is by the Punisher logo on the shell that Frank found on the ground. How do you know it's his specifically? Is he just the only one who has a Punisher logo on his bullets? Frank still tried to convince Matt to kill people. Once again, more out of character moments for Frank. So Matt notices a grenade being thrown in his apartment and somehow is able to carry Frank with the same arm where he got shot at in his shoulder, which is kind of funny. Matt and Frank are walking, but then out of nowhere Karen shows up. She made it into the city before Fisk shut down the bridges and any ways of entering the city, which is just nonsensical and extremely lucky. It takes like 5 to 6 hours from San Francisco to New York. She should not have been able to make it into the city before the shutdown. Unless we want to say that Fisk so happens to shut it down after those 6 hours, which is still pretty contrived, especially when the reason she went to New York is because she heard Poindexter escaped, which is extremely contrived, because if she flew all the way from San Francisco to New York, it would have been immediately after Fisk was attacked at his party if we want to give her the best faith. But considering that it takes 5 to 6 hours to get to New York, and the fact how long it takes to wait for flights, it's incredibly unbelievable that she made it in time at all. Wow, after Karen was completely absent for the whole show, she suddenly decided to show up again, which is way too late into the show. So why should I care now for Karen's return? Well, cause she's the character you like from the previous show. Yeah, but you ruined her in episode 1. So they're at Frank's hideout and Karen reveals that she was the one who called Frank. Like, seriously? Out of all the people you could have called, you called the Punisher, the guy who brutally kills people, in which you should know that Matt would disapprove of. I get she helped Frank out because she understands that there's more to him than just a brutal killer, but she still didn't accept him killing people in the end. Why did Karen not call any of the defenders? I'm sure Matt would have given them a way to contact them in case he's absent. But no, she decides to call the Punisher of all people? You cannot be serious.
I heard Poindexter escaped. Frank and hopped on a plane.
Also, that's such a weird response from Karen. I came here because of Poindexter, not because Matt got shot. Apparently she cares more about Poindexter being out of prison and not Fisk being mayor. Who are you and why are we calling you Karen? That's not Karen Page, that's freaking Kim Book.
I think there's something in the motion he was about to file. He was moving to dismiss the case. Vanessa made sure he never got to.
The files have been in storage as far as I know.
That's right. You be my eyes?
Wait, Karen knew the files are in storage this whole time? Have you guys never bothered checking it? What? Huh? So Wesley 2 or Daniel Blake or whatever is like meeting the council in the middle of the night, and somehow Fisk just miraculously has dirt on all of them with this clown here threatening them basically, because once again Fisk is just God. He can do anything. This accidentally communicates the message that almost everyone within the system of New York are just bad people that can easily be manipulated by a higher power, especially in the wider Marvel universe, which is hilarious. Which accidentally reveals that at this point, Matt should kill Fisk and probably even Vanessa, cause these people cannot be stopped. They keep ruining any more legal cases in this universe, no matter how hard-hitting it's supposed to be, just to go back and do what they did beforehand again and again. You cannot be serious. So anyways, there's like riots going on and people going nuts on the streets cause the power is out and the task force is everywhere. They even shoot some Randy and claim he's a masked vigilante because they're evil and whatever.
I can't believe I didn't check what he didn't file.
Matt, don't beat yourself up, okay? We were all hurting.
Oh, so that's the excuse you want to give us? This is the most internet defense ever. The characters act out of character and stupid because they were grieving and act illogical. You know, the same excuse people always give to things that are badly written. You're not gonna sit there and tell me they never bothered checking the files for a whole year. You cannot be serious. During this scene, we have like this weird moment where Matt asks Karen if she calls Frank a lot, and Karen asks if he's jealous and that he heard her heartbeat. Like, what is this? Are they setting up some weird love triangle between them or something? Cause Karen and Frank being together would be very weird. We're heading into fanfic territory. Oh look, avocados at law. Hey guys, remember the thing from the original? Matt is even explaining the joke to Karen. So Matt and Karen find out in the documents that Red Hook has been a free port this whole time, despite the fact it was different in Iron Fist where Red Hook was something you had to purchase. So when this free port was made, how did no one realize it can be used to launder money legally? This is such an obvious and clean way for anyone who wants to be a mobster to keep their illegal cash. How did no one notice this obvious hole within the port's existence? But whatever, everyone has the IQ of -10. This also brings the question of how did Foggy find this information on Red Hook on his own? Because remember that Foggy was going to bring this to the courtroom, so there would have to be legal documentations that can be harbored within the system access and learn about this, or else Foggy would be seen as presenting fake documents to the courtroom if no judge and jury would know about this. The show never clarifies on anything, cause bringing some surprise twist in the courtroom that no one knows about or even verify would be insanely stupid. Oh, wait a minute. Frank goes to the place to fight off some Punisher cops. I can't believe how stupid Frank is being that he just walks through the front door and attempts to just kill all of them. That we forget how clever Frank was in the original show, of how he plans out his attacks and how he killed a group of people. Nah, Frank is just raging man who walks in and kills people. Anyways, Sheila exposes Gallo to Fisk with a voice recording, and then we cut to Gallo entering this car with a Punisher cop inside because he notices the obvious tattoo on his neck and he just accepts this. Didn't you previously say that everyone under Fisk is insane and can't be trusted? Frank is being held captive by the Punisher Punisher goons, and Powell talks about how they admire him, which makes no sense in the first place, and Frank just starts calling them clowns and how they don't understand his pain. Like, I think it's actually a missed opportunity to have Frank actually tell them about his feelings and what he does to try and sway them on his side. That would be kinda sick, having Frank an army of supporters to go after Fisk. The task force also has multiplied somehow. Like, there's a lot more people than how it was in like episode 6. So Gallo has been taken to like a secret place where Fisk and his task force are there as well. Fisk ends up killing Gallo by crushing his head in front of everyone, which is just extremely sadistic to do it right in front of them like this. Like, wouldn't this make the task force have second thoughts about supporting Fisk? Matt and Karen go to the port, but oh no, it's crawling with task forces, so there's no way they'll be able to get in there. They need an army. I mean, you have Luke Cage, you have She-Hulk, but no, apparently we need like normal people, I guess. Fisk announced the next day that all vigilante activity is now illegal, but I'm confused here. Does this apply to all the superheroes? The Sokovia Accords were repealed, and it was the only form of government registration to be a superhero back in Civil War. But how stupid of an idea is this? The whole defense I heard is that Fisk wants to go back to the way it was in Civil War, but it's not the same at all, especially when he shuts down the power to go after superheroes. Especially since even if the government was on his side, they would not trust regular officers to go after superhumans like Spider-Man. They would have to inform some higher level optics that takes the situation out of Fisk's hands. There was also a good reason as to why they had to regulate the superheroes in Civil War. The Avengers caused so much destruction even if it wasn't their fault. It served as a legal response to concerns over unsanctioned actions and consequences. The Sokovia Accords was meant to minimize casualties. Going after superhumans with police officers is insanely stupid. This show is saying that Fisk is completely wrong for making vigilantes illegal with no nuance whatsoever. How is that the same as Civil War? After this we get some speech from Matt. I don't care anymore. You know what? I don't care. What is there even left to say anymore? Oh look, Matt is out of character. We then see Fisk has locked up a lot of people in cages for some reason. I don't understand why he would do that, especially with people like Frank Castle. Why don't you just kill him? Why keep him alive? That makes Fisk's plans even worse, because the public and the government would have to have some idea where all these superheroes are being held at. We even get after credits of Frank just casually talking to this officer and making him come closer so that he can break his arm and escape from prison. Like, you seriously fell for this obvious trap? This is cartoons level, because obviously he's trying to bait you. And the show ends. Oh, but Pyro, why does all of this matter? You know they'd had trouble production and the people were doing the best they can. Season 2 is gonna be better because they don't have the constraints of the time and budget like they did with this season. Why are you concluding the show is bad when Season 2 is gonna fix everything? Those are some nice things I hear you say, but I need to explain to all of you that just because this show had a troubled production, that doesn't mean anything when the final product we got is still garbage. This is a snipe at the Marvel executives and the writers of the show who made the bad decisions that ruined the show and character assassinated everything from the original show. It is sad to hear that the crew were constrained by all these issues the show faced, with deciding to make the Netflix show canon very late into the making of the show, but that still doesn't mean I can excuse these issues, cause the issues are still issues. Marvel has consistently put out a lot of bad shows and movies due to their poor business decisions and execution. I should not be expressing gratitude when the products they keep giving us are awful. They should have scrapped the entire show and started again from scratch. And also, I don't believe that Season 2 will be good or can save the show, because in the end, Season 1 is fundamentally flawed in so many ways. How am I supposed to expect that Season 2 will be any better? Fisk being out of jail and Mayor is like literally the main issue with the show, so how can Season 2 be any better? Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but the likelihood of it being good is very slim. I don't judge a show based on relying on future projects to explain everything or fix everything, because a season of television should be good enough to stand on its own as not only a proper sequel to what came before, but also as what it's trying to tell us with its story. I have no trust towards the people who are currently running the show, because like I said, the overhaul they did with the new episodes are worse than the pre-overhaul episodes. If the show ended up being its own reboot like it was originally intended to be, some of the issues I mentioned regarding the characters would not have been that big of a problem. The show might have ended up being mediocre at best, but the last minute decisions of making it canon to the Netflix show that everyone liked ended up making the show worse. I think the only reason this show is somewhat popular is because all of the old actors returned and it's canon to the Netflix show. I believe if none of the original actors came back to play the characters, Charlie Cox as Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, a lot of people would probably not have cared that much for this show. So yeah, I don't know if I would ever even cover season 2 in the future. The only reason I ended up watching Born Again was because it was a sequel to The Thing I liked that I watched a few months ago. I have not been interested in any MCU stuff because I just couldn't be bothered. Who knows, maybe I end up being insane enough to watch it and I might make a video about it in the future. Maybe. So yeah, this is me pretty much telling you to go watch the original Daredevil show because it's really good and to completely ignore Born Again's existence. So anyways guys, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Show me some support if you'd be so kind. And I'll see you next time.